Hello, I'm Nicholas Jackson.
I'm Luke Roberts.
And I'm Adam Thorne.
And welcome to episode 8 of the Rand Nerds podcast.
The Incredibly Negative Nerds podcast.
The Incredibly Negative Nerds. We've been criticised for being too negative, so we're going to be jolly this episode. I've ordered it.
Woohoo!
We ordered it.
We'll talk about things we like for a change.
Yeah. Okay, games we've been playing. If I'll head this one off if no one minds. I decided to do something a little bit old-fashioned, so I managed to track down and get very cheap on Steam. Part of the Christmas sale, actually, to be fair, so I've had it on there about a month and a half. System Shock 2. I absolutely loved it. Or I'm loving it.
It's an old favourite of mine. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It's based on the Dark Engine, which is the same as the Thief series, so it's very... You can tell that it's based on the same engine, just like the animation of the characters, the way they behave, when they detect things. There are a few issues, like some of the voice acting. The bad guy, Xerxes, is the same voice actor who then does the Hammerites, but he doesn't change his voice or anything. So all the time throughout the ship, you hear this evil computer Xerxes, and all I can think of is a Hammerite, who's basically gone slightly Denali.
Stephen Russell's characters in it are really good, though. He voices those rather well. Have you come across him yet in the game?
Don't think I have, no.
He comes across in audio logs, I think. There's a specific character that he plays that you will find audio logs for, and he plays him really well.
Stephen Russell's always a good voice actor.
Yeah.
He is probably one of the best voice actors out there. And a very old school
Perhaps the
voice
reason I'm
actors.
upset he's not in Thief 4.
Yeah.
But that's probably a good thing, so I don't like Thief 4. But we'll get to that.
Well, that's coming up later on.
Negativity, man. Come on.
Yeah. Or lovely
But I like
roses.
Stephen Russell, just not Thief 4.
Yeah. That's coming up in the later section, stuff we're not looking forward to.
Boo.
We have a stuff we're not looking forward to, section?
We do now.
Wow.
On this new positive podcast, we have a stuff we're not looking forward to
We actually have a
section.
section.
We have another section. Yes, I wanted to play it because I've played Bioshock and Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite. Enjoyed Bioshock, enjoyed Bioshock Infinite, didn't enjoy Bioshock 2. And everybody sort of said it's sort of very cleverly, you could see it's a System Shock style game. I always think to yourself, well, is it really, or are they just sort of exaggerating? But actually, having played System Shock, yeah, you can see how Bioshock is very much derived from it.
And also that there's more in System Shock. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to find. Yeah, it's
Isn't
just a
Bioshock
bigger
just
game.
kind of more of a...
It's a dumbed-down System Shock,
it's a
really.
it's a modern gamer's take on...
Whereas System Shock is more like an RPG in a way it plays. And your item, when you pick up items and stuff and have to check your ammo and everything, it plays more like a kind of strategy RPG-ish first-person shooter, more like Deus Ex than it does like Bioshock.
Yeah. You can tell, it's back in the days when games weren't scared to be complicated.
Yeah.
They weren't scared to be now they've all got to be streamlined and easy to, basically...
Everyone has to be able to win.
Yeah, and easy to use on a control pad. I think that's the argument. It's got to be easy to use on a control pad, because some interface of System Shock would be a pain in the arse using a control pad. To give you an example, if you've not played the game, you can switch between like a combat mode and like a inventory mode. But the inventory mode is sort of done... It's not like a separate screen that comes up. It's actually done in the game.
It's similar to Diablo, isn't it? If you play Diablo.
I've not played Diablo.
Or any of those other sort of role-playing games on the PC from the late 90s where you had an inventory system that was very similar to that. And I believe it has been done on console with Resident Evil 4, which did it fairly well, but it still doesn't work as well as it did in, say, System Shock.
You do need a mouse to use it properly. I mean, still, because they have to sort of drag and drop things to make them work. It does need a mouse to use it properly, and part of me can see actually why they simplified it, because although it's complicated, you have to ask yourself how much does it actually add to the game. Although it adds some parts, there's certain parts which it doesn't really need. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily against simplification for if it actually you're making
for streamlining purposes.
There's simplification to make something better, and then there's simplification just to take bits out because you don't worry that people aren't going to play it, which what a lot of more modern games do. This is what Invisible War made the mistake of between Invisible and Deus Ex. They streamlined it so much, it basically wasn't Deus Ex anymore.
It wasn't, though.
No, and that's where they lost it, in my general opinion, and I think that's why most people hated it.
I think most people would share that opinion. I mean, I'm not even really a big fan of Deus Ex, but everybody I know who loves Deus Ex hates Invisible War. And
interestingly, I don't actually hate Invisible War. It's not a very good game. If you looked at it two ways, you looked at it as a game, it isn't.
Or a Deus Ex game.
Well, let's see. Looked at it as that's what I mean. You've got a choice. Deus Ex game, it isn't a Deus Ex game. Looked at it as a game, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's terrible because it's a Deus Ex game, but if it wasn't a Deus Ex game, it's just like something set in a similar world, it wasn't called Deus Ex, just called Invisible War.
Yeah.
It would probably got more favourable mentions from people who played it because it wouldn't have that stigma attached to it.
The demo convinced me to buy it purely because I found when I killed all the guards in the building, I could stuff their bodies into the dumpster and watch them all flail around due to ragdolling effects, which probably isn't the best reason to buy a game.
Oh,
but
the old ragdoll effects. You don't get that so much anymore. So there was a space, sort of 2004, 2005, every game had these ridiculous ragdoll effects. And they just, so Rainbow Six Ravenshaw had ragdoll effects. That was ridiculous. The pose your terrorist, you think, for this realistic military shooter, and they didn't pose, which is physically and anatomically impossible. It's like, I only shot you, and somebody managed to twist yourself around like a bar pole or something. How have you managed that?
All of a sudden, somehow the game glitches, and all of a sudden the character's body stretches, and the legs are on a balcony, the body and the head are touched on the floor.
Yeah.
Or they launch up into space or something just randomly.
Yeah. No, the grenade's always fun.
2 words, Luke. Minority Report.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, actually, the killer clown we had with ragdoll physics.
Oh, I love ragdoll physics. And then they made it too realistic. The other thing I know, what you forget when you play a lot of modern games to when you play back the older games is they have less of a learning curve. Most modern games you play, the first enemy you meet, unless you actually just stand and do nothing, they're not going to kill you in a hurry.
No.
You can kill them instantly.
I like games that challenge me like that, though. I think that's why I have retro sensibilities, because I like it when I go into a game and it's difficult to begin with. I don't like being thrown in and having my hand held and told what to do.
There's a fine balance between so difficult you'll really struggle to get through it, and then there's difficult enough that's a challenge, but not too challenging. And that's the same with System Shock 2. The first monster you meet, if you try and take on like a group of them initially, you will lose. It is really hard to fight a group of them. To the point where actually I got really paranoid about actually saying them off and attacking and getting
which is kind of what the game is about, really. It builds tension because of the fact that you aren't a physical powerhouse. You do have to be wary of what you're fighting and where you're going.
Yeah, you're not a super soldier.
No.
You're not. Again, nothing that all modern games tend to do is you tend to become this real badass dude. But no, you weren't. You can tell this actually maybe some people made Thief because Gat wasn't a super soldier. He was just a normal guy.
Thief encouraged you to avoid confrontation if you could.
Yeah. Actually, what it did was display the confrontation realistically.
Yeah.
If you are a swordsman and you do go on against 2 people who are better trained than you, you will lose.
Yeah.
And that mimics real life. Unless you're a superior swordsman, that's what's going to happen. Not in modern games. Like, oh yeah, you're just this badass. This guy's never held a sword in his life, your main character. Oh no, he's fine, he's great with him.
I don't know why, but just for some reason I had this vision. Modern gaming, and then there's 3 knights. One guy's trying to take on the other 2, and all of a sudden the one that's about to get his ass kicked somehow calls down this space laser. I don't know, I just had this cross between Gears of War and then chivalry, medieval warfare. I was like, what the fuck? That's just what would happen in
what makes me think of actually modern gaming is I think this is a phenomenon that's described in Discworld, where Sam Vimes goes to a palace and he basically sees the guards and he comes alone and he says, I'm here sort of, you'll let me through. And the guards think to themselves, well, if he's by himself and we're a large group of us, he'll probably win. Because that works by sword literacy.
Oh yeah, because they say that he'll do something crazy like pull a sword off the wall and rush us and that. But there's not even a sword off the wall. But that'll happen. She's been cornered.
Movies as much as it does games, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it was also mocking movies first before it mocked games.
But
because that was Guards,
that,
wasn't it? When Lupin takes over the palace, I think.
Yeah.
And they takes over the palace guards and they try and take Vimes' badge from him or something like that.
Didn't Pratchett famously say, talking about games and Terry Pratchett, didn't he famously say at one point that video game would be dead within 5 years when they released the first Discworld game?
I don't know.
I think there was an interview with PC Gamer and he said that in 1993 when the first Discworld game came out, he's like the first issue.
I can't resist the whole negativity here, but I'd like to say I kind of agree with him. It almost is.
To be fair, this was 21 years ago, so 5 years. Yeah, he says to me dead in 5 years, and Well,
To me,
we're
it
still
is.
here. Yeah.
It's all right. So he was a little bit wrong with his timing, but it's dying.
I think it will rise from the ashes, so to speak. Though I think once
It's going to pull a phoenix effect, is it?
I think the indie developer is going to save us here, because the indie developers who we have now are the ones who grew
I
up
think
on the older style games.
halfway you're correct, but there's a lot of indie trash out there as well.
Oh yeah,
And sadly, a lot of the trash is the stuff that people latch onto. I mean, again, to mention, as we did last week, Gone Home became really popular really quickly. And yet there's other indie games that are fantastic that just seem to get brushed aside, which is a shame.
I actually put Gone Home as an example of why indie games are so, in some ways, better than
Because
major games.
something that wouldn't normally be made.
No,
can just be...
EA would not have made Gone Home. They would not, because they just wouldn't think the market would be there for it. And indie developers did. And whatever you think of it, if you think it has been overhyped, yes, true, but I still enjoyed it. I played it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting experience. That wouldn't happen with a big name developer. That's why it's a great experience.
Big old publisher, you mean? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories of the indie developer going to the big publisher and saying, "Look, here's our game. We've been working on it for several years. Here's how it works. This is what it does. This is what we think it's going to do for you." And then the guy's like, "But we don't know if we can sell it. That's a risk.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant idea and we really like it, but
I
we
also
don't know
think
if we can sell
when
it."
you discuss gaming in these regards, you have to separate the Western industry and Japanese industry because they're two very, very different things. I'm still very positive about Japanese games because of people like Kamitani and Kamiya, Platinum Games, Vanillaware. Maybe not so much on the Capcom front, but there's other companies out there that do still make really good games. So maybe I should talk more about Japanese games and it could be more positive.
Yay!
It's probably why I say something because I'm actually a great fan of Japanese games.
See, I'm a big fan of Western games. Just most of the Western games I really love come from the late 90s, early 2000s, and sort of before then even.
We kind of went soft and lost.
I think we did, because to me, the Western games are always better on PC. I love old PC Western games, like System Shock 2.
A lot of the guys from Cambridge University said that we lost our kind of programming heritage as well, so we kind of shipped everything out overseas, so we didn't really develop many games. We didn't push the industry forwards any.
Yeah. I'd also like to put forward another, I believe, save of modern gaming that's out there, and that's the games coming from places like Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Metro 2033, look at Stalker. Stalker's a very 90s style game. Very good game.
And take Poland into account with CD Projekt, a very, very good company with their Witcher games.
Actually, can I just flip this on its head a bit? Postal 3 came from Russia and it wasn't finished.
Okay, but everybody has a bad moment. But I love Metro 2033.
Can I just add that I actually love Postal 3.
Oh, fair enough.
It may be broken to hell, but I love it.
I mean, that's the example of games being still quite complicated. That one you had to really think about it, and that was a bloody hard game right from an early stage. Have any of you played Metro 2033?
Yes.
I have seen someone else play it. A friend of mine played it.
So
I haven't played it.
cheap at times.
But I have played Stalker.
Did you ever get to? Did you ever get to the librarian? Can't pronounce words now. Librarian. Did you get to that bit?
I can't remember now off the top of my head. It was a long time ago.
I tell you, it's one of the most terrifying monsters in the game. But what makes it terrifying is the fact that it doesn't attack you straight away. It's basically you're told.
I've seen this. Yeah.
You have to keep eye contact with it at all times and keep your distance. So basically, you have to. If it sees you, it'll just look at you, and will slowly walk at you, very slowly, but deliberately walk straight towards you. As long as you keep eye contact, it will not run at you, won't do anything to you.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
When it gets close to you, that's when it will attack you, and it will kill you in like 2 hits. Very hard. But, of course, you have to keep looking at it. You can't see. If you're trying to sort of walk through a room, you can't actually see where you're going. You've just got to hope. So you have to say this moment, like, okay, it's quite far away. If I quickly glance over my shoulder, oh, no, it's clear, yeah, I can go.
Risk reward.
Yeah. But I tell you what, that was a really, for a monster that doesn't really actually attack you, it's really terrifying. Particularly as it's actually really tough as well. Actually, at one point, I actually believed that it was impossible to kill them. I thought they were actually indestructible because I threw so much into them, and I thought they were actually possible to kill. But I have found that you can actually kill them. They take like 6 packs of TNT to kill them. They are ridiculously high health.
Yeah. in which case, your best scenario is to avoid them, really,
Yeah,
if you can.
exactly.
That's the whole
which
point,
is great.
really.
That's the whole point.
So-
That is an example of game design. So I put them as a saviour of modern gaming.
Yeah, no, I'll go with that. Yeah, I dig those kind of games. I'll have to play Metro, actually. Put some
Fucking
time aside to
nails.
play
and
that.
I thought it was nails anyway. Holy
It-
crap.
A really good game, and the atmosphere it creates is absolutely breathtaking. That there's a very sticking with our theme. It's a very negative atmosphere in the whole game. You just
hell
feel,
yeah! You get pulled into it, and it just feels so dark.
You feel
so
Unsurprisingly so,
depressing,
I
and
really
then-
like games with negative atmosphere, hence why I've played Dark Souls a lot over the last year or so.
It's very much a game where basically you're just surviving in a world that is just dying. You are just surviving to the point where you think to yourself it's actually worth bothering trying to survive. And it's got some really clever systems like your military grade ammunition is used as currency, but you can also fire it from your guns, and it's a lot of damage compared to the sort of home brewed ammunition they
Yeah.
use. So you have to make this decision: do you use your military grade ammo, take this really tough monster down? But every time you do, you're actively firing all your currency, which means you then can't buy new ammo.
Yeah.
Really clever systems like that. Fantastic game. I've actually gone slightly off topic, I've just realised. Welcome to the Round Tangent podcast.
But I just want to go back. So you'd recommend that, say, Thorny play Metro? 'Cause,
Yes.
I mean,
strongly.
just
strongly
be ready to
And
get your ass kicked.
That's even
a
relevant to
lot.
the fact that I guess you can jump from System Shock 2 to that. Would you say somebody that enjoyed System Shock 2 would enjoy Metro?
I would say so,
Yeah.
yeah. If you like that sort of style, really dark, really actually against you gameplay, it really is you are.
I'm in there, I shall be playing
Against
that.
you ain't the word for
Yeah.
it. Like, seriously.
Oh, the
little
surface.
tiny bit of glass on the floor, you stand on it. You could be miles away from anyone.
Because the tunnel echoes.
Yeah.
They can hear you.
There he is! And the entire room basically come
Oh,
at you. And because you've got hardly anything to defend yourself with, they will wreck you in seconds.
But when you get hold of throwing knives, though, if you're really good with a throwing knife, you can really clean up an area. But it's actually, if you like, it's very similar to Thief. It's got like your wristwatch has got like lights on it, like Thief has.
Alright.
Because it's very much a game which tries to avoid having any sort of menu screen. So there's the only menu screen you've got is like the save screen. Or quit screen. That's what you've got really. But everything else is done so your map is actually a physical object.
Yeah.
But you might need, but because it's a physical object, it means if you're in a dark tunnel, you can't see it. So you need to get a lighter out and look to switch the light on to see it.
That is really cool. I like
It's
that.
really cool. But of course, you've got a lighter out, you might be easy to see.
Yeah.
And your wristwatch has got a little lights that tell you how much light you're producing. But of course, you can only see that when you've got a weapon in your hand, which you can actually see your wristwatch in your hand. Really clever game. And the surface, that's so terrifying when you get up on the surface.
There was
I
a
shall pick
small
this game
section
up.
of that at the very start of the game, wasn't there?
Very
as
brief.
you rush through.
But later on, because you have gas masks when you go on, so you can't breathe the atmosphere, you have to have gas masks on.
Because they crack, don't they, as you get hit?
If you get hit, the gas masks can crack and become damaged beyond use. And so you must avoid getting into combat. And your gas filters run out. So you're constantly having to sort of decide, right, do I go in this building and have risks that I'm going to run out of gas filters? And you have to scout them all. It's a really stressful game. Not going to play if you're already all right on the verge of a heart attack.
Yeah.
It is really, really, really stressful.
That was enough to make me want to pull my hair out at times, but it was really damn fun what I played of it.
Yeah.
Really fun.
I need to get around and buy the second one.
I haven't played. That was
Last Light.
Yeah, I got that on the PlayStation 3, I think, but I haven't had a chance to play it.
No, I need
The
to
one
get
I have seen being played by a friend is on the PlayStation 4, I think.
That'd be last.
Right, that's that one, is it?
But you'd want the original Metro, which is based on a book.
It is based on a book. I want to try and get hold of the book.
Yeah, I
want to see
think
if
I've
it's
got
on,
a copy of that somewhere.
I think it's on. I want to see if it's on Kindle. I'll get it. I
Magic
like to read.
Kindle.
Magic Kindle. Actually, I want to get hold of Roadside Picnic, which is what Stalker is based on. Because there's a film Stalker, which is sort of inspires the game Stalker. The film Stalker is this Russian film. That's a really good Russian film. It's got a Land Rover in it, so it's really good.
Wow, there you go. Driving the plot.
It takes
Andy.
it's about a 2-hour film, and they have to go into the exclusion zone. It takes them about 45 minutes to get into the exclusion zone. But it's got all the elements of it. It's got like a military exclusion zone. It's got anomalies in it as well,
Right.
which later obviously turns to. It's a good film to watch. And you can get hold of a copy.
Cool. Yeah, check that one out.
It's hard to get at. I don't think there's any dubbed version. They're all subtitled, but still, it's an enjoyable film.
Considering you're talking to two guys that watch things that are always subtitled.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring it around next time when we have to watch it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Really good film.
I'm up for that.
Really good film. Right, so that's System Shock 2. What have you guys been up to?
It's not been very fun since the last podcast. Negativity kicks in, but we had them flood warnings a while back, didn't we?
We did.
And we didn't realise that when we had the gale force and the massive floods, that a large section of our back fence and all that blew down. We also didn't realise that our garden used to have a pond in it that held water. And over time, it looks like our back garden is flooded out, and my retro games collection was stored in a shed in the back garden,
no.
right next to where that pond happened to be.
No.
And so I go out there. The garden is mud bound because we didn't want the kids to go out there because they just tear up all the grass and
Poach, if you want to use the technical term.
it's going to be.
That's a farming term.
It'll be really funny because things started to sink because there was no drainage. Everyone's got.
I was going to mention.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm sinking.
So in trying to save my retro collection from a shed because it wasn't sealed very well, things inside were getting damp, cardboard boxes were getting kind of mushy in there. We have moved all out. Literally, I stood outside by the door of the shed, put my foot down a little too hard, and went all the way up to my ankle in mud. So that was the kind of mess we had. In pulling it all out of the shed and bringing it back into the house where we had no storage, that's why it was out there. I ended up looking through some of my old retro collections. So I pulled out the old Nintendo Entertainment System from the 1980s.
Yeah.
And I thought, I really wanted to get this repaired. It broke. I've had it for years and years and years. Got a second hand off of a mate, and it didn't work very well back then. But I always said, I'll take it apart. I'll repair it. So we had a look at it, looked at some of the traces, made sure they were fine. I tried to repair the 72-pin connector on it, the cartridge slot, before Christmas, and it was just a complete piss up. Well, seeing it was out, and I had to clean up everything anyway because of the water damage and all the damp, we went out and picked up a 72-pin connector, repaired my NES, and then decided we'd pick up a lot of NES games to play with the kids.
Brilliant.
And so I've literally gone through my, just kind of an NES binge playing Xevious, which was a scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick up Probotector, which is our version of Contra. Shadow Warriors, which is Ninja Gaiden, but we weren't allowed to say ninja.
Have you ever played the Batman game on the NES, the one based on the film?
No, but I have played it.
It's really good.
Isn't that the one that's like the Commodore 64 version? I can't remember though.
I don't know if it's like the Commodore 64 version, but it's a very good game. It's really good fun.
I think we have it.
It's one of those few sort of movie license games that's really surprising in how good it is.
A lot of people said they like it. I think we have it. I just don't have it here. Right. So I have kind of I have a mini collection here and then a collection back at my parents' house because we didn't have enough space for all my stuff here, thankfully. So I've been kind of just looking through eBay saying, I want to play this, I want to play that, I want the kids to play this.
So any particular gems you picked up?
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh yeah, good old Capcom game.
Yeah, Capcom Disney game from way back in the day. Well, really fun.
DuckTales, which I was talking about last episode.
Yeah, and they Darkwing Duck, I didn't get a chance to pick that up. What other games?
So did when I think Capcom, all I think of is horror games.
Yeah, Resident Evil.
So did they actually go through a spate of actually making lots of games of a company?
Capcom is more famous for its arcade titles. I mean, Capcom's biggest game is probably Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
That's what they're most well known for. On consoles, it would be Mega Man.
Here we go. I want to say I didn't actually know they made Street Fighter.
Right.
The guys behind Street Fighter, Mega Man,
Resident Evil, Ghosts, lots of classics. I mean, back in the day, they were one of my favourite companies. I love classic Capcom games. Today, not so much.
By the time you get past, say, the 32-bit era, things start to go downhill pretty fast.
They did, yeah, unfortunately.
Any good Disney license, if it was done by Capcom, you had a win, right?
Oh, definitely.
It was straight away guaranteed to be a winner. Because they did the Aladdin game on Super Nintendo as well.
Did they? All right. Yeah, no, they did.
Was it the same Aladdin game as on Sega?
No, the Sega one was done by Shiny Entertainment, which is also a good game.
It's still a good game, but not as good as the Super Nintendo version.
I remember the animation was beautiful.
Yeah, very good, yeah. Again, though, Shiny Entertainment, it was F1 Gym, which was a fantastic looking game at the time.
I actually got that on an emulator because everybody said it was probably like the best game on the Sega.
It's a very hard game.
Yeah, I got it on the, but I tell you what, I couldn't believe the quality of the animation. I was thinking, this was on a Sega.
Yeah.
And, compared to all the other sort of company brands and other games that are on there, I thought myself, I've just got some vision of this person who's playing all these very pixelated games and graphics up and then putting Earthworm Jim in and just seeing it.
It was massive when it came out, Earthworm Jim, wasn't it?
It's like someone who's been playing on all they've ever played like Half-Life 1, Doom, and then suddenly installing Crysis.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. You can just imagine like going from NES to, say, Earthworm Jim, or going from Master System in games like... I can't even think of any decent Master System games like... I really can't. Damn.
My favourite retro game was Zombies Ate My Neighbours.
That's a classic game.
By
Very
Konami.
good game.
The ironic thing is, because at the time we used to play it when I was
Konami are part of what I would call the power trio back in the day, which was Konami, Capcom, and SNK. Couldn't go wrong with them at all back in the day. If you bought a Konami game, a Capcom game, or an SNK game...
Not that SNK was very big over here, at least not down here anyway.
You knew you were getting a good game.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Definitely. Carry on anyway, so okay.
When I was really young, I remember we actually didn't know what it was. We used to just call it the zombie game, I didn't actually realise it was called Zombies Ate My Neighbours.
It was called Zombies over here, wasn't it? And Zombies Ate My Neighbours is the American name.
I always thought it was called Zombies.
Yeah, it is.
One of them random name changes.
Then when I remember getting when I got trying to fight for the emulator, to track it down, I thought, it's called Zombies Ate My Neighbours. I thought it's called Zombies. Obviously, me making a mistake and being young, and I thought, I didn't realise.
Yeah, no, Zombies is the UK name for it, and the European name.
Well,
Zombies Ate My Neighbours was what it was called in the States.
Because that's why I mentioned Probotector and
Contra.
Because that was Contra in the States. And if anyone ever looks online, all you'll ever see is, Contra this, Contra that. And it's like, well, over here, some people are like, what the hell is Contra?
Yeah.
It's like, that's Probotector over here. Just we had a name change.
I don't even know why they really changed it, because all it does is change the main guys into robots, doesn't it? They're robots rather than soldiers.
But then why did we have to censor the word ninja and everything? Why did it have to be Shadow Boy?
Yeah, that's
same
true,
with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was Hero Turtles over here.
Yeah.
And we had the same thing with, say, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which I brought up the other day. I started playing that with the kids. That was the first ever Final Fantasy game we got over here, but it wasn't actually called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
It's called Mystic Quest, wasn't it?
No, it was called Mystic Quest Legends, I believe, because Mystic Quest was Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy over here. Our Game Boy version of that was just Mystic Quest, so to avoid the confusion, we changed the name again. We do that a lot, we just fuck up names. I thought it was
Mystic Quest on the Game Boy, the one where I think it might be the end boss. You kill him and he has an extremely gruesome death animation. I remember there being something about this.
That was basically Secret of Mana 1.
Oh, right, okay.
Seiken Densetsu 1 was Final Fantasy.
Oh, right, I didn't realise that.
And then
I did wonder why Seiken Densetsu 3 was called what it was.
Because Secret of Mana is actually Seiken Densetsu 2. Just in case anyone didn't know. I could be completely wrong.
I think it's criminal that Seiken Densetsu 2 didn't come out over here. That is one of my favourite RPGs from the time.
You can buy reproduction carts, which is actually something that we were talking about before the show, about ROMs and emulators and flash cartridges. Because Nick mentioned the idea of, hey, why don't they just, rather than spending ridiculous amounts of money on digital copies of games, of retro games, or having to pay ridiculous reseller prices for the actual physical games, which will die of bit rot, just in case anyone seems to think they'll live forever or last forever. Why don't they start building, say, flash cards and consoles that play ROM files that have been dumped from the actual cartridges? They're actually doing that, and they've made flash cartridges, but I'll talk a little bit about that later.
Okay. Alan, you're going to talk about Muramasa?
Yes.
Muramasa.
Muramasa.
Master of
You should explain that, because it is rather amusing.
I was trying to do the show notes for the last episode on the website, and he talked about Muramasa. So, Google that. So I Googled Mirror, spelled M-I-R-O-R, Master, spelled M-A-S-T-E-R, and I desperately tried, and I couldn't find it. I thought, what is this game? And so I just kept searching, and then I had to I just thought, right, okay, I'm going to have to try and guess it. And you mentioned it had the subnames, like Muramasa, something.
It's the way the English say it, isn't it? Muramasa.
It was like
Muramasa.
Yeah. The something blade you mentioned, I think you called it. And I used that name, and eventually, it's nicely spelt Muramasa.
Yeah.
But now I want to have a game that's about someone who's a master of mirrors.
Muramasa is actually a DC villain, isn't he? One of the Flash's enemies.
That just reminds me of the Tech
I don't
Magic
know why
book,
that's so funny.
which is abroad.
It is funny. He tried to attack the Flash with a disco ball once, I think.
I just find it amusing. You have a character called the Flash, and this one has a mirror. I don't know why it's amusing, but it just is.
The reason I'm bringing Muramasa up again is because Kamitani has now released DLC for it. reasonably priced as well for what it is. There's 4
I
episodes.
was going to say reasonably priced and not tell people what the price is. What is the price in the UK? What do you consider reasonable?
Well, I can't remember exactly what I paid for it now, but it was just over £3. It was like £3.20, £3.40, something like that. But for what you get, it's reasonable, because what it is this is the first in 4 DLCs, and they're all about completely different characters. So you're not playing as the 2 main characters from the original game. You're getting 4 completely new characters to play as, and the first one, which is called, I have to read it because I can never remember, it is called Fishy Tales of the Nekomata, and you're basically playing as a Japanese Neko, which is like a cat demon, but in human sort of form. So you're playing as this cat woman. I haven't played much of it yet because I only got it the other day, but from what I've seen so far, animation is beautiful. I mean, you're talking about games that look wonderful. You need to see a Kamatani game in action. They are like moving oil paintings. It gives you a new character to play as. There's also new enemies, new environments, and a whole new story. So I don't know how long it's going to last yet, but it looks to me like it's going to be lengthy. So I'll play through that one and give you the lowdown on that. But then, yeah, there's 3 more coming out.
So basically an expansion pack.
Yeah, pretty much.
An old school expansion pack, rather than calling it DLC, which is
because
normally
DLC
just kind
to me today is generally something that's going to last you an hour
or
so.
skins or something like that.
But this is a whole full game.
That's why we should talk about it like it is an expansion pack.
Really, yeah, kind of like what as we would have mentioned, Blood Dragon.
Yes.
Like its own thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been sort of looking at the moment, and I'm waiting for the new ones.
I will say Blood Dragon isn't technically DLC because you can buy it standalone. It's not technically DLC.
It's kind of like the old Duke Nukem Caribbean games and Atomic and all that, where it's the same game built on the same engine, but it's a whole new story kind of thing.
It's a reskin.
Yeah, but I haven't.
It's an expansion.
As I've not played much of it yet, I've not really much to say about that. But it's a Kamatani game, so I know I'm not going to be disappointed with it. I'm pretty sure I've got my money's worth there.
I actually picked up Muramasa the other week in a PlayStation Plus sale.
Yeah.
So I had to. We kept on talking about it. I own it on
Such
the
a
Wii,
good
so
game. Fantastic game.
I think I only paid about £11 for it. So
yeah, it was on the sale because I bought it as well because I've got an American version, but obviously having an American version, I wouldn't have been able to use the DLC with it, so I had to rebuy it. So it was brilliant that in January it came out cheaper. I was like, yes, get it again. I don't mind having multiple copies of Kamatani games. He's that good.
It's as bad as me an army of 2.
Yeah.
50 copies of that game.
But yeah, that's all I've got to say on it, really. So, relatively short one there.
Fair enough.
Marvellous.
Excellent. So, next thing is called Film Review, but it's actually not a film, nor is it really a review. It's more of a retro. Really. It's the TV retrospective.
Recently, season 3 of the BBC Sherlock was released, which is a modern
interpretation of Sherlock Holmes.
Which I have to say is absolutely amazing. Because you have to think Sherlock Holmes was ahead of his time, kind of thing, in the stories. Yeah. Kind of a pioneer in a lot of things, martial arts and all this random bollocks. So now Sherlock Holmes, modern day London, using...
I mean, in a way, I know it's a bit further away, but I think that Batman would be something comparable to Sherlock Holmes just because it takes so much inspiration from Holmes. A lot of the character quirks of Bruce Wayne are very, very similar to some of Sherlock Holmes' quirks.
It's like now Sherlock's using mobile phones, computers, all kinds of fancy magical stuffs. If you haven't watched the first 2 seasons, watch it. We'll try not to spoil anything in season
we won't mention
3.
Anything.
But something might slip out, so...
It's going to kind of spoil... Well, it can't really, because if you've ever read the books, there's... No, for anyone that thinks that Sherlock Holmes is dead, because I had this discussion with my mother-in-law, Sherlock Holmes was kind of brought back to life.
Yeah, he was killed off, and then after I got so many complaints, including death threats, which is you think that's a very modern thing to happen, but no, it happened to him then, he did actually bring him back alive. But he never actually explained what happened to him. He just sort of...
Well, that's what basically happens at the start of season 3. They explained...
I wonder if that's why Jesus brought Lazarus back. Getting death threats from the peasants, you know?
Yeah. Well done.
This intro part is going to be sound like me spoiling a modern day King Kong film. Okay? If I tell you the ending, it's been the ending since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
So, season 2, Sherlock kind of offs himself, but he doesn't off himself. You know that by the end of the actual end of season 2, because Sherlock is still alive. You see him at the end of season 2. It's in the books. Kind of deal with it. season 3 starts off, a couple of years after season 2. And they did a really nice kind of short episode as a trailer. Like an actual episode, what the characters are doing. Did you see that at all? You know, what the characters are doing, trying to track Sherlock down over travels across the world. Sherlock is basically brought back to... What the hell was the character's name? The villain in season 3. Because it wasn't Moriarty, obviously.
Magnuson.
Yeah, who is Milverton in the books, who is a master blackmailer. Basically, finds out leverage on everyone, and then just kind of controls government news. He's a news tycoon.
He's basically like Rupert Murdoch.
I was going to say, he sounds like Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
No one will ever stand up to him because he's always got something on him.
Yeah.
The whole point is that they're going to try and... Sherlock now has to try and find a way to stop him being a dick, basically.
Your mission this week, stop him being a dick.
I love the way you say his mission is to stop
I was thinking of sort of old radio serials or something.
That's terrifying.
And in this week's episode, Sherlock will be stopping Magnuson being a dick.
Tune in next week for another exciting episode of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Well, it's hard to explain without spoiling parts of the episodes. That's the thing. There's just so much going on in an episode of Sherlock. And
sorry, he stops him being a dick. I love it.
What? I can't spoil anything. It's like he stops him from doing naughty things.
The good guy beats the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
There you go. It's a good triumph over evil plot.
It takes place over the time where Watson's going to get married and basically Sherlock getting feelings. And
Kind of.
Oh, aye.
Not quite.
So, are all these episodes actually... It's called Sherlock Holmes, but are they actually all based on original books, or they are
books?
So are all the episodes? I mean, all the episodes named after books. So is there an episode called The Hound and the Baskervilles?
There is, but they don't directly follow the stories of the books. They kind of spoof them in a way, don't they?
So, what was it? That was season 2.
They did one based on the Sign of 4, didn't they? But it was called something else, and they integrated it cleverly into the way it was done. It wasn't even anything about that story. It was just that particular.
So, if you've read the books, could you get a clue how the episode's going to go?
You might do, but more or less, it's used to just give people who've read the books like something they go, I recognise that, and they might trick them with little surprises and little funny gags that only someone who's read the books will get, kind of thing.
And the character-wise, is Holmes very similar to how he is in the books?
He is, but he's more pessimistic. Like, I mean, Holmes is a bit of a pessimistic character anyway, but he's even more so in this series. They up his negativity levels. What we're going to say, don't they mention that he's like?
This isn't a negative podcast. Holmes is very pleasant in the series. He loves everybody.
That'd be very anti-Sherlock Holmes right there.
We would basically be watching Monk, wouldn't we? Columbo.
Just one more thing.
But I like it from not just as a fan of Sherlock Holmes, but from an editing and kind of film.
I like it that it's got really quality actors in it as well. I mean, you've got Martin Freeman, who's fantastic, Benedict Cumberbatch, who's also fantastic.
You know, I'd never heard of Benedict Cumberbatch until Sherlock.
Well, this is kind
he's
of
a very recent person, isn't he? Yeah.
But his parents are both really famous, and they're both in the new series. They play his actual parents in the series, don't they?
Good time.
They are Sherlock's parents.
Who are his parents? Because I've never heard of a Cumberbatch.
I can't think of what their names are.
Oh, God. Would you like me to do the...
Yeah, get the old
tappy tap, please.
But they're quite famous, quite well known.
Quite famous, quite well known.
They're quite famous, quite well known.
None of us
Who are they?
I actually called something Cumberbatch, or they got... Is that?
I think the names are different. I think they... Don't ask me. Everyone else is telling me they're famous. I don't
This
really
would
know.
find like something like Tom Cruise and...
I'm not a Hollywood kind of person.
They've kept the characters the same. Is he still his style of detective? He's actually still a detective?
He's still a detective. They do a very cool thing where when he goes to what do they call it in the series? His mind palace. So when he's in his mind palace, it's just basically him examining a situation, and they play it out by showing his thought processes on the screen with like various words flashing up, dictionary references and things that very quickly show his mind working quickly.
So what actually in the so you're also watching the live action bit, as it were, and then it's sort of being superimposed over it.
Yeah, so it shows what he's thinking. And cleverly, they used Magnuson. They did his thought process like a computer, didn't they?
Yeah.
To mirror Sherlock's more old-fashioned way of doing
Which
things.
actually comes in as a kind of a plot element.
Yeah.
Because you'll always see him kind of fiddling with his glasses.
And Sherlock thinks that his glasses might be the key to his secrets, but it turns out no. He's just got a very computerised brain. He thinks like a computer.
No spoilers.
So basically, he's all of us.
Dun, dun, dun. Except better, more evil.
More evil.
If that's even possible. Timothy Carlton?
Is it? No.
Apparently.
Oh, no, sorry, I thought, I know him. Then I realised, no, I'm thinking of Timothy Dalton, the James Bond character. No, never heard of him. Mother?
Wanda Ventum?
Never heard of either of them.
Well, apparently they're in stuff. IMDb him, see what it says.
Yeah, they've been in like a BMW advert or something, or...
Okay, marvellous. So, yeah, they're in the show and stuff.
There you go.
It's good. I love the way that it's put together. Like when Thorny mentioned Sherlock's Mind Palace, and you get all the stuff kind of showing up on the screen. Like for example, they receive text messages in the show.
Yeah.
The text, they'll all look at their phone, and then all of a sudden the actual text will appear on the screen. So just like the word will appear.
So you won't see it close with the phone.
No, you'll actually see it appear on the screen.
It's
and like
very, very cleverly done.
So let's say 8 people pull out their phones in a conference room. 8 different words of the same thing will appear on the screen, so you can actually read what everyone else is seeing on their phones. And
so is it a case of would you have to one of those things that you'd have to sort of go back to and like watch again to catch or
no, it's there. It's
they do it really well. Yeah,
it's.
I don't know if that'd be like a nice little thing where you could actually have to sort of like, if it's like a freeze frame bonus, if you pause it.
I think you could get them out of his mind process things when he's examining something. It moves very quickly.
Yeah. I'm hoping there's something like they just put random words in there, like sort of saying like, he's sort of thinking about sort of murder, weapon.
I wouldn't say it's much of a spoiler.
Then it says random like pears and cats.
Funny you should say that. There's a scene where he gets very, very drunk, and it shows his mind process working when he's drunk, and some of the things that come up are rather amusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than them being really clever, sort of direct descriptions of what they are, that it's just what a pissed person would sort of see when they see it.
I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Very, very good.
Brilliant.
So is there going to be a 4th series?
Right, here's where we're going to go. So the first season, really well put together. I mean, editing, great. Cinematography, great. Acting, great.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Season 2, just as good. A little bit in places. Season 3, I was like on the edge of my seat. The BBC want to rush season 4 because season 3 got record numbers. So a little bit kind of scared for that one. If they rush it, they might fuck it up. And I honestly do think this is probably one of the best series to come out on TV in a long time.
A lot of it depends on the producers.
One of the best series from
writers,
us, I would say, from England, like from the UK viewers' point.
Yeah, but even folks in America absolutely love this show.
Well, isn't that really...
one thing that people don't understand? I just have to throw this in. I mean,
because we're sort of more well known for Doctor Who, and modern Doctor Who doesn't really do much for me.
See, I need to throw this out there. Okay, so over here we have a thing called the iPlayer, which is BBC On Demand.
Yeah.
Right, so you go online, you check out your shows, you can watch them back. If they've only just come out on the telly after
a couple of minutes,
day,
really good actually. A lot of them you can live stream now as well.
Yeah, you can, because that's how we watched it, because we don't actually have a telly aerial here or anything, so we watch them all online. So, a couple of years ago, the Sherlock series started getting put on iTunes and Google Play and stuff like that, and initially people had no problem with it, 5-star reviews on everything. Then all of a sudden, kind of, we started getting faster internet connections. iPlayer started getting updated a lot on live streaming and all that kind of bit. I don't know actually how long they've had the live streaming on and things, but people, all of a sudden, you start seeing these 1-star reviews. Why should I pay for what I can get for free? It's available for free right now in the UK on iPlayer. You bastards, Google and Apple, why am I paying for this?
Right.
It's like, you're paying for it, you assholes, like you pay for a fucking Blu-ray or DVD.
That is something I absolutely hate. I hate when people give negative reviews for nothing that's the product's fault.
Yeah.
It's like on Amazon, you see a product with a negative review and you read it. It's actually, they say, book was great, Amazon delayed delivery by a day.
Yeah, it's like, so I'm knocking down the review.
You're reviewing the book, not Amazon.
Yeah.
I just hate it when people do that. It makes me want to punch people in the face.
Yeah.
So they started giving 1-star reviews to a brilliant show. They're like, oh yeah, the show's brilliant, but 1 fucking star because they're making me pay for it.
Well, don't pay for it then.
So if you don't want to pay for it, just watch it on iPlayer. But I want to watch season 1. Is it available on iPlayer right now? Well, it was at Christmas. Well, it fucking isn't now. Just buy it.
The whole point of iPlayer is it allows you to catch up. It's a catch-up service. It's not an internet repository like Netflix. It's just allowed to catch up with things. Some things have put series links in, so you catch the whole lot of series if you want to, like do the Apprentice and stuff like that. But it's not there. It's not a streaming service. It's not like Netflix or anything like that.
It's not going to leave that series up there the whole year.
Of course
it's going to be gone.
No.
And it drives me insane. They just don't get it.
I think
it's because now iTunes and Google get it like literally days after it airs on the TV. You can now get a digital purchase, but it's usually still on iPlayer at the time.
Yeah.
And so, well, you can either have a copy that you can keep forever and watch whenever you want, or
it's like Top Gear. Top Gear, you can buy a season pass on iTunes, and then as soon as it comes available, although there was some issues where last season it was taking a week before it became available.
Yeah, no, it's the same with Sherlock and things.
Yeah.
You have to wait a few days. You have to wait for the next episode to come out before.
Yeah.
Going back to the series, though, we are looking forward to Series 4 so far.
Oh my God, man. When I saw... I'm not going to spoil the ending of Season 3, but when I saw the ending of Season 3, I jumped, I was laughing, I was cheering. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. I have to see Season 4.
There were mixed opinions, funnily enough. I'm reading online that the ending had very mixed opinions.
I did see that. A lot of people were crying about it.
But I quite liked it. I thought it was very good.
So I just remember you commenting on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook that often, but because I can remember seeing... I wanted to avoid it when Sherlock was out because I knew I was going to be watching it a bit later than everyone else.
I do try to avoid spoilers on Facebook.
And you put on how everyone was kind of crying about it and you thought it was brilliant. And I was like, what the hell could people hate about it? And then I watched it and I was like, this is absolutely brilliant. It was such a good ending.
It's a Marmite moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it just made me want to punch people in the face because most of them probably never ever read the books. They were never really a fan of the show. They just watched it. Oh, God, what the fuck's going on? It's like, shut up, you stupid little
Negativity.
It's not even. It's just negative. I'm being negative about them, not the show. They're ruining my show. But really looking forward to Season 4.
Yeah, me
Hope
too.
they don't rush it, because if they rush it, they'll probably ruin it.
It depends. Is the team the same? Got the same producer, same script editor, all that sort of stuff. If the team's the same, it should be the next season should be.
It will still be
good.
decent, but it might not have the same level of polish, and that's what worries me. Because it is a very, very polished show.
It is. It really is.
I mean, holy hell! I could never do anything like that. I mean, seriously, even if you gave me their team, I'd be sat there going, holy shit, where would I start? It's that good.
I have to say, the BBC has got some phenomenal editors working it for them.
Yep.
Top Gear production method as well. I hope being that every single time, but some of the editing they do is absolutely fantastic.
Well, yeah, I mean, even the shorts they have in Top Gear take hours to make, and to look at them, you wouldn't think about it, but when you kind of look at every little tiny detail, the colour correction, the timing, all the pickup they have to do, is just mind-boggling.
Also, they have all their filters for the cameras. They've got a box of like 100 filters and a camera for each of the cameras when they're filming the cars, sort of create sort of a...
Yeah, so they had the graduator filters, so they had the darker skies and then the lighter tones.
But they have to change throughout the day, and they do lots of shots picking which filter's the best. Mm-hmm. And that's just dedicated. As someone who loves their job.
That is, yeah.
That's what I think you get a lot more of. In some ways, you get a lot more of in British productions because they tend to be shorter series. They're not like the big one where they are 24 episodes long. Because they can spend a bit more time polishing them and do them to I don't want to say a higher quality. That's not fair because a lot of well-edited longer series out there, but there's a little bit more passion behind them because you have to sort of make your name for themselves.
I have to say, the only reason I pay my television license is probably for shows like Top Gear and Sherlock. Everything else done by the BBC, in my opinion, is complete horseshit.
The Apprentice is good.
Fair enough. Positive thoughts.
I just call it Smug Bastards in a Room the Show, really. But
there you go.
There you go.
The show.
Plus, I had an Amstrad CPC once and I fucking hated it, and I'll never forgive Alan Sugar for that. The year I was meant to have a SNES, I got your shitty CPC system. Bastard.
That's like hatred right there. Because a lot of people don't like ITV programming because it doesn't usually have the same level of polish as a.
ITV
Let's
does.
compare Sherlock versus Loose Women.
I
All right.
most ITV programs do feel that they're still being made sort of by like a little production company in the 90s.
I have to say that there have been a few that actually kind of. Has anyone ever seen Kingdom with Stephen Fry where he plays the lawyers? I think I've mentioned it before on the podcast.
No, I haven't.
When I first watched that, I thought it was a BBC production because that's pretty well polished. And the acting's good, the sets are good.
Is it what we've got to look at is if it's an independent production for them or if it's something that they've commissioned.
Actually, I didn't really look too deep into it. All I know is the budget was a very high budget and they ended up cancelling it because...
Which is sad. That's what you get when you have a television based on commercials.
Yeah.
That's why I find that that's why the American model tends to means good series get cancelled. Because, they've one bad run of adverts and so it's not worth having on the air, so they get rid of it.
Because clearly no one likes all their DVR and taking out the
adverts. No, they don't. Well, they tried to stop them there with the TVR, the TiVo boxes. Sorry, not TVR, it's a brand of car. TiVo boxes. They they can actually put restrictions, and TiVo got sued by the networks because you could actually skip through all the adverts.
Yeah,
that's when networks made their money. So people used to TiVo all their programs and skip through them all. Mm-hmm. They networks didn't think to themselves, well, perhaps people don't like adverts. That's maybe why they're doing it.
Yeah.
So they actually tried to put restrictions on TiVo to force viewers to watch the adverts.
Yeah, but you have to think, though, because a lot of people cry about ads, especially these days.
Oh, I hate adverts.
Yeah, but a lot of content is paid for through adverts. Right, Thorny will probably agree with me on this one. Like, there are a lot of, say, YouTube presenters out there, like, my stuff is such high quality, if I wasn't getting paid, I wouldn't fucking do it, and my quality would drop like you wouldn't believe. But in some cases, they're right. If you stop the ads... they're not making the money, so they're not going to put in the time and the effort to make the stuff. Other people are just
I would argue most of the people who do that don't bloody deserve to make money from their content because
the people that say that they need the money and that their
there are people out there that do deserve that, but most of the ones that whine and bitch about the whole YouTube scenario that's come up recently. Mm-hmm. Don't really warrant it. They're just...
So I have to say, a lot of the guys that I really like, they do make money from YouTube, but they nowhere near make enough to cover production. Nowhere near. No. And they're the ones I think that should probably
if you're making your living from that, it should be real quality stuff, and
you should have an actual show.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're making your living from it, it should have a lot of effort put into it, as a job would do, any other job. So yeah, when you get these people that go, oh, you're not watching the ads and all this, so you don't warrant it. I would if it was something really high quality. I'd be quite happy to sit through ads to watch your stuff. But
it does bug me when they say, oh yeah, I spend 70, 80 hours editing this, and then you look at it and it's like, where? Where did you put 70 or 80 hours, the amount of times that you dragged a clip into your editor and then walked to the fridge? Are you including that? Are you including render time? Are you including the times that you were taking a dump? Because you're clearly not that's clearly not there in the production.
I mean, from a logical point of view, if they were doing 5 12-hour days, that's still only 60 hours a week. So why are you doing like 14-hour days?
How do they still have wrists?
Yeah, are they doing 14-hour days to get this stuff edited?
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. Because so the way some people talk about it, they're doing a hell of a lot of work, and you don't ever see it. And then you look at some of the people on YouTube that actually do create a show, an actual show. You'd watch it.
I watched quite a lot of stuff on YouTube. I watched loads of different shows, especially like game related, and there's all sorts of things I watch on there. Very cool shows.
I mean, look, I recently started watching Retro Libby, who I showed you. They did the Why We Retro documentary. The fact that those guys have the way they have developed over
one thing I really like that I've been watching is Tabletop with Will Wheaton. Right. He does this show called Tabletop, and they play games, basically. They'll play tabletop games, and it gives you a chance to see what the game is like, but you get to see them play through it, because he normally has, like, various talent on there. He had the guy that played Superman on there the other day from the new Superman film.
I was going to say, wasn't he dead?
No, not Christopher Reeve. That would have been a miracle. But then he had, like, Total Biscuit on one as well, so you're seeing a bit of a jump between. No. but the show itself is really good. I think it's him and Felicia Day that put it together, and but it's a very good show. Yeah, very well worth watching.
Right. I mean, I have no right to really say that these people can't make money doing it, but I mean, these people do this because of the ads.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Most of those people that are doing that, though, you can see they're in it for the money, not in it because they love doing it, which is wrong. They should be doing it because they enjoy it.
Or they originally did it for fun, and then when they realised there was money in it, that's when they started kind of cutting corners and stuff, when they got too big to fail. I just wish more of the cream would rise. Because otherwise my TV licence is worth jack over here. Because Americans don't understand that we have to pay a TV licence.
No.
So
we don't get any adverts, but we have to pay TV licence to have it all produced instead.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, actually, Parliament, it's only, what, is it £160 a year?
I have no idea. It ain't that much.
No, it's not a lot, actually. It's less than, say, a Sky subscription.
Yeah, most people pay more money on cable TV, or most people spend more in Starbucks and takeaways.
One of my things I hate the most when we used to have this program called Points of View, for us to write in. I just love it because you get people who like
Terry Wogan, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've watched a program, or they've seen it, and it's not their cup of tea, so they write to the BBC complaining about how their licence fees being wasted. Like, you're not the only person who watched BBC. It's not just you're not paying the licence fee in the BBC. It's then your personal BBC, and they'll make stuff just for you to like. It can't all be historical docudramas or science fiction shows or whatever it is your personal fiefdom is. You've got to be a variety of people. That's the only disadvantage of it. But I used to love watching movies just for the hilarious things people used to write in.
Some of the stuff made me want to cry.
How picky people were.
Yeah, they'd pick on the smallest thing. Like, oh, you were talking about such and such, but you were actually standing right there, which was across the street. It's like, what does it...
There was a brilliant one on Points of View. There's this it was a program, and it was set sort of like 1890s. And there's a bit, very briefly, you see two children in it playing with toys. And one of the children's playing with a little wooden toy, what appears to be a toy airplane. Well, someone writes in saying, the airplane wasn't developed then. It was blah, 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 how there were race stuff done. Can't you do basic bloody research? Well, then there was a response from the creator. The creator said, we did do the research. He wasn't playing with an airplane, he was playing with a glider, which they'd had since the 1850s. We did do the research. Why should you do the same? I love it. Yeah, I love it. Oh, great.
And then all of a sudden this flame war starts, and like, we're not going to pay for our licenses anymore.
Even better if he'd have said, well, while you were looking at that, you missed the alien spaceship we put outside the window. Well done.
That would be brilliant.
Alien spaceships. Right, so next section, stuff we're looking forward to. We've got a little thing here. I'm not sure if it's the name of the game, but you've just got a big exclamation mark saying Vikings!
That was me, yes. Right. No, this is a series, again, going with good old TV, called Vikings.
Let me guess, is it about old ladies going to the shops?
Yes. No,
is it about a stationery company?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? A stationery company called Vikings. I could see this.
Is it about a stationery company based in London?
There is.
There is. Cool. There's a station called Viking.
We need to go film them.
I'll get you one of the catalogues. I've got one of the catalogues at home. Link in the show notes.
I'm going to build a Viking longbow out of pencils.
I've got the lockers and everything, so you have lockers in it as well.
Excellent.
There you go, challenge accepted.
Surprisingly enough, no, it's about big-bearded Scandinavian blokes causing problems and being badasses, which is awesome.
I'm making longboats out of pencils.
Yeah, making their longboats out of pencils. It originally was on the History Channel, but it's not like it's like more of a drama series. It's not a. It's more in line with something like Game of Thrones or something like that.
Okay.
A historical drama series, but it's very, very cool. It centres around a guy called Ragnar Lothbrok. He's a Viking that lives in this village that's ruled by a guy called Al Haraldsson, and Haraldsson's a little bit corrupt because his son died, and he's a little upset, so he's become corrupt over time. It seems like he used to be quite a good chap, but yeah, unfortunate circumstances have made him bad. But what Ragnar wants to do is they're only raiding like other villages at the moment, and Ragnar's like, well, if we go to where England is, if we travel that way, we'll find land. I'm certain of it. We'll be able to bring back riches. And Haraldsson's having none of it. He's like, no, there's nothing over there. It's all fairy tales. You're not going over. So Ragnar sneaks out with a small squad of his own friends, and they go over to England. they find a monastery when they hit land. Well, they find some guards first and they kill them. Quick shot. And they find this monastery. So what do you think they do when they find this monastery? Do they go in, shake hands with everybody and make tea? Do they kill everybody?
I thought the making tea thing was a very Viking thing to do.
It is, yeah. Tea ceremonies. Vikings, samurai.
Friendly.
I'm going to go for option A.
Option A.
Yeah, let's go for the going and
They go in and they shake everyone's hands and they make some tea, have some tea together. There they go in and they butcher everyone and they take absolutely everything.
How stereotypical.
Oh, how yeah.
God.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of Scandinavians writing and complaining, you
Poor
you can't
Viking
do that.
stereotypes.
I will mention, actually, most of the actors are actually Scandinavian, which is very cool. So it's got, like, they all have Scandinavian accents, which is awesome. But they all go in, they kill all these priests, but one of them shouts something in, like, Norwegian, and they're just like, what? One of them can speak our language. And so, out of curiosity more than anything, Ragnar spares him. Says, right, I'm going to take him, keep him with my slaves. Which it turns out they're actually quite good to. They don't mistreat him or anything. They're workers and they treat them like workers. Bundle him on the boat with all the treasure they nick, come back, and it sort of tells the story of this priest and how he is, or this monk even, how he is surviving within Viking society and what he learns about it, and Ragnar's own personal contention with Earl Haraldson, and it sort of goes from there. It's fantastic. I mean, I was watching it at the same time as I was watching Game of Thrones, and it trumped Game of Thrones, and I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so to be able to watch that and say, actually, this is better than Game of Thrones, speaking very highly of it. Very, very cool series. Recommended to anyone who likes historical.
So where can we get hold of this? Is it an American production, a British production, a Scandinavian production?
I think it's a British production. I'm not entirely sure, actually. But
where can we find it? I mean, where could I view this?
It comes out on DVD over here towards the end of February, apparently. So we shall have it soon. I don't know if there's anywhere online it can be viewed because it aired sort of at the start of last year. But you will be able to get the DVD soon, so that's one good thing.
I believe it can be viewed online at the Pirate Bay.
Possibly. I'm going to get the DVD anyway, so I'll have to bring it over or something and we can watch it.
Sounds interesting.
It is very cool. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
But we have a second series as well that'll be out soon. In March, I believe it starts. So
that will be rushed and have half the polishes it had before.
Yeah.
Based in London.
Luke, you want to talk about the something 5?
The Retron 5.
Yeah, I've scribbled Retron on here for some reason.
Wow, the Retron 5.
Can you get Muramasa on that?
Probably available on the Super Famicom by Sega. My retro collection got kind of
Does it
sank.
have blast processing?
Probably not. Blast processing being the biggest gimmick of the 90s. It's just a faster processor, people. Come on, seriously. So the Retron 5 is basically a multi-system remake console, a clone system. It's made by Hyperkin. They've made a couple of other Retron systems. So they had like the one.
Well, presumably they've made 4.
Yeah. Well, no, they skipped 4. Actually, now I think about it, they actually skipped 4. Because they said, hey, look, it's the Retron 4. Oh, wait, no, we're not going to do that. We're doing the 5. And that's basically because of the systems the different numbers of slots in it, I guess. Because the 3 you could play Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, something else. And Classic Gamer made a funny kind of joke where they kind of stuck all different games in it that didn't fit, and then they'd like.
Is that the one where they built the tower out of Sonic and Knuckles and all the other Sonic games?
It was almost like that one where they had like one of the.
I think it was because he got sent so many copies of Sonic and Knuckles, he just put them all together and stacked them in the console.
He was like literally saying like, oh well, next it'll play PlayStation games, so you could just kind of like slip in a PlayStation game in one of the cartridge slots, and then it was like, yeah, we can play maybe Atari 2600 and
brilliant.
Stuck that on the side. But basically, it's an all-in-one system on a chip.
Right. So is it hardware emulation or software emulation?
See, that's the thing I'm not entirely sure, because the previous versions were literally a system on a chip with a hardware switch that you'd say, right, I want to play this system, I want to play that system. This new one is based on Android, so I'm going to assume it's all basically software. It's going to be running like Android-based emulators.
It's the only thing I feel a bit concerned there, because with hardware emulation, if you're, presumably they're copying the original setup.
As close as they can.
Yeah, you're going to get a an equivalent of the original game, you're going to play near enough exactly how it would have been played.
With the exception of audio and some kind of graphical differences, because you're obviously not going to have the exact same.
No, but the basic build box will be the same. But with software, always becomes a little bit more complicated. There's no emulator out there that's 100% perfect.
No, exactly.
That runs everything exactly.
But that's also the same with some of these systems. I don't really know what's inside them because I haven't pulled one apart. But the idea is that even some of these systems, like unicorns and stuff. The Retron 5 must use unicorn or something because there's no way in hell I can.
I was thinking more along the lines of Discworld, little trolls or whatever.
Oh yeah, the little demons that make them go. That kind of evaporate over time.
We're running out of pink.
I can't remember what were they called again. The boxes, the picture boxes.
I can't remember.
Whatever they are.
Picture box.
That'll do. The picture box. The cameras. They're basically they are emulation. Like I've got a Messiah Generation Next, and that's a Famicom and NES clone, and it's just a Nintendo on a chip. It's not perfect. Like, it doesn't play Castlevania 3.
No.
There are certain games it will not play. The Retron 5 will apparently play as close to 100% as possible. And pretty much anything you can emulate on a PC, it will apparently play.
Right.
So there are going to be differences because it isn't all, actual hardware. A lot of people have said this with any clone system. It's not going to run 100% because it isn't the system it was programmed for.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of a cut down, really, really tiny board with everything on it.
To be fair, modern technology, you probably could copy a system exactly onto a lot smaller board or smaller chip compared to how it was. You could probably copy, say, a Sega Mega Drive's hardware layout onto a chip small fit into an iPhone.
Yeah, pretty much. So the thing with
I'm not sure the cartridge would go on the iPhone, but
just kind of, just jam it in there.
There'll be an attachment you have to sort of have on the back of it, and you should plug into the back.
No wires. They don't do wires anymore. Now, what's cool about the Retron 5? Right, so I said before they had the Retron 3, which did Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, and whatever the other one was, Atari or PlayStation 6 or something like that.
Wonder Swan.
Wouldn't surprise me. The Retron 5 has, just off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's got like 9 or so consoles on it. On one box.
Wow. Nice.
It's got, and it uses regular control pads.
Oh, that's
so you
cool.
can actually use your proper control pads on it. It does Famicom and NES, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, so it's same system.
Right.
Mega Drive, Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance.
Nice.
I don't know. I think it's got a Master System adapter
Does it
for
do
it
like
as well.
Sega CD and stuff?
No. That kind of stuff isn't compatible. That's why you'd actually need an actual Mega Drive. They haven't got a clone yet that'll kind of attach to all the different boxes.
I was going to say, where does this sit from a legal point of view?
Oh, they've been making clone systems for years, and
no one's kicked up about it.
Not that I'm aware. I mean, it's not like they're making, say, carts that'll pirate the actual game.
Yeah, I suppose because you have to own the cart.
You have to own the actual game to play. So I can't see that being a problem. You have to have the actual control pads to play. I mean, it does come with some kind of cheapy little control pads and stuff, but you have to have actual games, actual cartridges. Because that's the thing, they do make flash cartridges for these systems now, so you can dump all your ROMs and play them on them off of an SD card on your actual Super Nintendo. Or like on your Master System, I show you guys my Master System flash card where I can dump all my games onto an SD card, put that into the actual Master System, and then play every single Master System game without ever having to change my cartridge. Those don't work on the clone systems,
Right.
so you're not playing dodgy games that you've just pulled from somewhere.
No.
And plus, for anyone that's complaining about ROMs and emulation, what do you think the virtual console stuff is? It's not actual hardware, it's a wrapper.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
ROM and an emulator just on another system made by the guys that make it. And actually, from what I understand, a lot of the stuff on, say, the Wii and the PlayStation Portable, a lot of that came from the homebrew community anyway. So,
And they're ripping people off of it. Stuff you already own, folks, being resold to you.
yep. But really looking forward to the Retron 5. It'll have HDMI out, composite out. It'll play American and PAL games. I think this one has a variable speed. So all the previous models were based on the American systems, which played about 1/5 faster than what ours do.
Right.
Because frame rate issues on British
weird, isn't
TVs.
it? I mean,
power on NTSC TV
I
signals.
find that when I first had YouTube, when YouTube first came out, I was watching like American games being played, thinking, why do they look so good in comparison to ours? And yeah, that being
So
why.
we ended up having like squash screen. They got more screen
and they
real
have like
estate.
amazing frame rate.
They have a faster. Their screen is less detailed, but has a fast upload. They have less detail, but has a faster frame rates. Whereas in the UK, ours is more detailed, but has a slower frame rate. That's why all American TV series, until sort of the advent of sort of HD, tend to come and look a little bit blurry because the frame rate wasn't quite fast enough for it.
Right.
It made them a bit blurrier. I believe that is the...
And the trouble is they didn't optimise half of the stuff that actually came out over here. So we ended up, they said, it's going to be so much work to optimise it for the European systems. Let's just slow it down so it'll play at the right frame rate.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks guys.
And then you get letterboxing as well on the top.
Because my master system has been modified so I can actually flip a switch and it'll go to 60 hertz. It'll play at the American speed. Fucking just drive me nuts because every single game I play is now just set to the American mode. And that shamefully that doesn't work quite the same on the Super Nintendo that I've got modified. But I believe the Retron 5, because it is all software, it will allow you to switch what region you want to play on. Like I said, it's got all them systems on it. It's pretty cool. Under £100, HDMI out, SCART out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just a shame it's not compatible with light guns because everyone's going to be playing it on a fucking HD TV. And that's not it's not the system's fault, it's the television's fault.
Yeah.
My friend, who is really into like collecting old consoles and stuff, he has a specific Sony brand of telly. I don't know what it is specifically, but it's really bloody good for playing old games. So it's a box TV, obviously, not an HD one, but it will play like if you play like SNES games now on it, they will look pixel perfect as they should look, and it's really good for light gun games as well. Apparently, I'll have to find out what one it is, but very cool. Yeah, I was playing it with him the other day.
So if you're going to play retro games, I know that I play most of mine on an HD TV. In fact, I emulate a lot of my stuff.
Yeah,
it really is best to play on an old school, big old beefy tube TV. Otherwise, you have to deal with latency. Because everything has to go through a scaler on an
colour
HD
saturation
TV.
And stuff as well.
It's all down to the quality of the scaler and built into the television because the television only has one native resolution, 720p, 1080p, and then everything has to be scaled to that resolution, and that takes time to process. And some games are unplayable. I mean, I noticed playing some of the games with my kids. After it goes through the scaler, I never realised how some games had more motion, or the controls just seemed to be a little bit off from how I remember them. And for them, it's no biggie because their minds are kind of tuned to that.
Like we are,
But then I'm trying to press the button and it's not happening, and
muscle memory lets you down.
Yeah, if not, I'm just getting old and I'm really crap at playing games these days. But hey, whatever.
Could be a bit of both.
Yeah, but really cool looking system's going to be under £100 for all that.
That's not bad.
Which is going to be amazing. Under £100, like 9 possible systems.
Very cool.
If you've got a collection of old games and the hardware's died, because the cartridge should outlive the hardware anyway.
Yeah,
because there's no moving parts in most of them, whereas the hardware tends to wear out. So, great. Well, this is technically, I know we're going to do a positive podcast because we're always positive. I know the section's technically stuff we're looking forward to, but I've put in here one called stuff I'm not looking forward to,
which we've already discussed in great length at one point.
Yeah. Well, so V4 gets released.
I'll say that every time I hear it.
V4 is released in actually just under 2 weeks today.
We'll pretend that's not going to happen.
So I've got my pre-order, so I'm going to be playing that, and I'll be crying in the next podcast.
Masochist.
I'm going to encourage it by pre-ordering.
Well, I'm going to give it a go. I want to give it a chance because I was worried about It's Iris Montreal who made Death Human Revolution.
Apparently, though, it's a different team of Iris Montreal.
Yeah, I've since found that out.
Because everyone was saying to me, "Oh, how can you hate it? It's going to be made by those guys." I was like, "Fair enough." The new Deus Ex does look. I mean, I'm not a big Deus Ex fan, but it does look okay.
It's a very good.
But everything I saw about V4, being a huge C fan, was just like, no. I know it was not going to be good.
Well, because I'm not a games journalist, so I can't get all these previews. They're all lucky bastards or unlucky bastards, depending on the point of view you get to go. So I've had to be reading all the previews instead. So I've been looking into a few things, and some of the stories I'm hearing just don't bode well. Things like FOV, field of view, or an acronym phobe. There's one guy who's talking that at one point he was on a beam and the beam took up his whole field of view. And he could hear people, but he couldn't actually see them because he couldn't see past the beam. And he had to just guess.
Those solid objects get in the way.
Well, because if the field of view had been bigger, he would be able to sort of have more situation and been able to work out if they're there. So he did guess, he went down and got cut to pieces. And when he mentioned to the director, they basically said, well, it's a way to build tension. Was sort of his sort of underhand.
That's really the excuse they have for craptastic programming.
When asked about whether they're going to, on a PC version where you can better change field of view, he said maybe up to a point. Which is a short answer for no.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be, I'm sure someone will mod it.
You hope.
When they've done something, they have, to be fair, they have listened so much to the community, so they got rid of quick time events. Good. They originally, it spent a lot of time switching between first and third person view. Whenever you went into combat, you go into third person view. That's changed now, so only they reckon like most levels it may change twice. I know it's still not great, but it's better than what it was originally.
Have you seen the new trailer for it?
No, I haven't.
Because everything you're mentioning about it is from a technical standpoint, but from a fluff standpoint and a storyline and everything, it looks bloody awful. They've basically made it like there's a revolution going on, and Garrett's the front man of the revolution.
There is mention of the storyline in the previews. Okay, they did mention it, so I'll come on to that.
Right.
This is one of my other little big gripes. Read broadhead arrows now knock out guards. Now, a broadhead arrow, you know what it is? It's basically an arrow. It's basically a normal arrow. So it's got a sharp, pointy bit.
If it hits you, you will die.
Traditionally, it was used to kill people. But somehow these knockout ones, apparently they're blunted. I still think a blunted arrow hitting you hard enough is going to cause...
just getting visions of green arrow, and a boxing glove arrow, you know.
Yeah. It's like, I just imagine this guy going, ow! What the hell was that?
It's like going back to your pencils for the Vikings. Seriously, even if you jab a pencil at someone, that's going to fucking hurt.
This instantly makes me concerned because in the case of broadhead arrows, in the original Thieves, there were arrows that could knock people out, the gas arrows, but they are really rare to come by.
Yeah.
If you were lucky to find 2 or 3 a level, so when you used them, it was a real risk reward. Like, do I use them or do I save them?
Your trick was sneaking up and blackjacking people,
exactly.
Which was great. Again, we're talking about building tension. That was what built tension. You had to sneak against these guys. You couldn't just run in and fight.
Just avoid them completely.
Yeah.
But then they had this. By putting these in, if the broadhead arrows are presumably quite a common thing to get hold of, you're going to have issues where you're going to basically try and knock people. You're just going to go around there knocking everybody out.
Yeah.
The other thing they've dropped is there originally was an XP system. That's gone. They've dropped that.
That's
They've
one
ripped
good
it out.
thing at least.
Good. It's, depending on the point of view, it's been 18 rated. Depending on the point of view, that's either a good or a bad thing. Do you know why it's been 18 rated?
Why?
It's got sexual scenes in it. Because at one point it goes to a brothel.
Right.
So it has bits where you can see people having sex. Yeah.
See, I mean, that's cool and all, but I don't think Garrett from the old games would really have given a damn about that. I mean, unless he's going to loot the place, he wouldn't really care for it.
Well, he wasn't going there. No, you're going there to loot. He wasn't going there just for funs or lols.
But new Garrett, mate.
It does bring a bit. I was reading I've been in PC Gamer's preview, and you can tell the guy who writ it was a Thief fan. Because he basically gave it kicking.
Good.
And he was saying how that he went into this place, this brothel, and initially tried doing sneakily, and after a while he got fed up. He decided, I'm just going to go, right, I'm going to, as best you can, run and gun it. So he literally ran down this corridor, being surrounded by dozens of guards chasing him, dived into a room with 2 people having passionate love.
Right.
He then dived behind the bed to take cover with his broadhead arrow poised at the door. The guards didn't follow him in. They didn't come looking for him.
Clearly they respect the rules of the brothel.
But the 2 people having sex on the bed didn't react in any way at all. This guy just ran into their room with effectively a gun pointing outwards, and obviously a bow and arrow, and they just carried on.
They're clearly caught in the moment.
That's basically saying to
Do you know what they'd probably say?
Broken
Builds
AI.
tension.
Geezer's paying
Builds
for
tension.
time.
Yeah, AI
God.
broken. Yeah, I mean, he also said that he went around the city and he said it just felt dead. You know, whenever he rubbed somewhere, it just didn't feel like it was actually a lived-in place. I mean,
Yeah.
Deadly Shadows had the city, and that, although not great, it did feel.
It was nice.
It was still feel
It
slightly
had a lovely
lived in.
mood to it, didn't it?
It did. It did feel like an actual city
I
at
love
night.
that. The one thing I really liked about that, something I have to mention, is the city in Deadly Shadows had that really cool atmospheric background music that was very different to the music used in the rest of the game, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, it's a lovely little city. There's a few places where there's like doors if you couldn't get through. I always hate doors you can't get through because that just instantly ruins my immersion.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have a blank wall, but I know why they do it. But I love that. That's it. So it comes out in the month. I've played it, so by the time we do our next podcast, I will have played it.
We can really rip it to shreds.
And I am prepared. Well, I say I'm prepared to. I'll judge it on the final product.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. I'm gonna be nice. I've not played it. I've only reviewed, so I'm gonna be nice and give a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
I'm not that nice. Eidos Montreal, you're bastards. You should all be fired.
I'm going to put it down, and I will review it like I reviewed Deus Ex Visible. I'll review it as a game and as a thief game. And, well, we'll see. It's probably the best I can see.
That's the most positive outlook we can have, I think.
Is that all from the stuff we hate section?
That is it from the stuff we hate section.
So we like everything else.
Yeah.
We love
Not
everything.
faithful.
Positive.
Or anything else from Square Enix.
So, games are other news. Alright, Luke, you've got a bit on here about the Panasonic GH4.
Well, I'm going to try and make this quick because no one other than me is really going to give a crap about this. And if I had to be honest, I don't really give that much of a crap for it because I can't afford one.
Positivity, Luke, positivity.
When I start talking about it, you're going to hear the rainbows, okay? So, the Panasonic GH4 is a 4K capable DSLR. 4K being video resolution. So, if anyone's kind of been living under a rock for the last few years, DSLR cameras, digital SLR cameras, shoot video now, not just pictures. You don't need a dedicated camcorder. Up until now, we've only been able to shoot 1080p on, your consumer level DSLR. That Canon did make one that did 4K, but it would cost you your left testicle and a kidney. A nice black market kidney. Panasonic have updated their GH3.
£22,000, just in case you want to know. We learned that a few months ago.
There we go.
A testicle cost £22,000.
Yep. Wasn't that a weird news story?
That was a weird news story, yeah.
See, there you go. See, so now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know. Random fact. It's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money or a testicle.
Yeah.
So, the GH4K is just an updated GH3 with 4K support. 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p. Why would anyone give a shit? Well, from a normal kind of everyone else consumer standpoint, no one gives a shit, okay? Unless you're one of these guys that has to live on the edge, the bleeding edge of technology, because a lot of people I know only have 1080p displays. 4K is going to use a fuck ton of storage, so if you're filming in 4K, you're going to need a shit ton of hard drives.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of money for storage.
I suppose the thing is you are in a way, because 4K eventually is going to filter down. Technology will is going to filter into the consumer market anyway. Same way HD did.
Yeah.
Because when HD first came up, people said, well, what's the point? But it's now filtered down. It's now the standard.
Yeah.
So it will filter down. So I suppose the only reason to get 4K really is to future-proof your materials.
Yeah.
The same way that people who filmed in HD when only 1% of the UK in HD, well, it's mad because theirs is now still viewable in HD because it still looks good.
And it scales down very nicely as well. So if you were going to make something, a DVD, you scale down, it's going to look a hell of a lot sharper than if you were just going to kind of reproduce the same quality content over and over again. Like re-render it, remaster or whatever. You end up with a much larger original and then scale down for the final product. That's the trick with 4K. Because this year is, apparently, according to tech analysts, this year is going to be the year of 4K. Everyone's going to start getting 4K TVs coming out. Consoles are now 4K compatible for video.
Say not for gaming.
Yeah, no way. Like my graphics card has 4K support. It's had 4K support since it was like one of the first, I guess, 4K capable graphics cards, I guess. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now. But the Panasonic GH4K is going to offer so much in post. Other than massive file sizes and massive resolution. the whole idea is that, say, you're still going to need decent coverage for your shots. You're still going to have to make sure you've got everything in frame that you want in frame. But now, let's say, for example, I shoot a wide shot and that's just you two.
Right.
But then I'm like, all of a sudden, hang on a minute, what if I want to, say, pretend I have 2 different cameras here? I've got the resolution to crop in. I have 4 times 1080p. Any point can be one single 1080p image. So, well, actually, I can cut it as if there's 2 different 1080p images, scale it all down to 1080p for the final product. I can just adjust coverage. I can have close-ups of faces when I initially wanted a wide shot. Maybe it works better for the flow of the product. You've just got so much more that you can work with, so many different ways you can fix. If I'm running around like a spanner without a rig to stabilize my shots, I can run a very extreme stabilization plugin in my editor, which will basically kind of crop in and say hold the center point.
Yeah, and then move the crop to...
Yeah, so basically hold it steady.
Yeah.
If you do that with 1080p, you tend to make the image a little bit softer because you're going to either render out in, say, 1080p or 720p or maybe even lower. With 4K, I can still keep a 1080p image for, people with really nice TVs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's going to make editing easier and production easier in a way.
It's going to make production a little bit lazier, I think. Because rather than people trying to get the right shot and the right coverage, they're just going to crop it in post or try and correct in post. But, it's all cool. I like the idea. If I got one, I probably wouldn't shoot in 4K straight away because I can't afford the hard drives for it.
No, I was going to say, because presumably it takes, if it's 4 times the size, it must take 4 times the storage.
I mean, there are already phones that shoot 4K.
Really?
Yeah, the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 shoots...
Is that...
Galaxy Note 3 shoots... Yeah, Samsung Galaxy
That's actual
Note 3.
proper 4K?
4K in resolution, but the bitrate's horrible. The bitrate is probably more reasonable for a 1080p file, but...
Right.
It's coming off of a phone,
Yeah.
so, what can you say? A lot of people are complaining about the GH4, though, because they're saying, it's just a GH3, but with 4K unlocked. There's a little bit more to that. You've got external recorders. They've actually come up with an external, kind of like a mic rig. So now you can kind of get this adapter, you bolt it onto the bottom of the camera, and then you're not having to use the inbuilt preamps, or the low quality preamps that come in with the mic ins. You literally attach it rather than buying an external recorder. You can get uncompressed video out of it by using this adapter and things like that. It's a really nice piece of kit. It's probably only going to come in at about $2,000. Still more than I can afford. I'm invested in Canon cameras. So, yay. Come on, Canon, please give me something nice like that. No one cares. I told you, no one cares. I can't explain it. I would like one. I just can't afford one. 4K, yeah.
Right.
Perfect. Right. I would like to pose I'm going to pose a topic for debate.
Oh.
Okay.
It's going to be funny.
It's about Nintendo.
I figured the
Is this going to be positive or negative?
Yeah. It's neutral. It's true neutral.
Bollocks.
It's not chaotic neutral.
No.
We would be in trouble.
Wii U sales are slumping. Nintendo CEOs having to harvest pay. Is Wii U going to be the next Dreamcast?
I'm going to say, though...
And will Nintendo go the way of Sega and
the
just
first
make
thing
games?
I've got to say about that is I commend Iwata so much for that decision. That ain't something you normally see in this industry. An industry full of greedy pricks that don't give a damn about their fan base. Iwata stood up and said, you know what? I've fucked up here and I'm going to take a fall for it. And yeah, he makes so much money, it probably isn't going to be a big thing. But none of the other main people within the industry would have done that. So I've got to take my hat off to him for that. That's very good.
I mean, he didn't have to. I don't remember.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, no, he didn't
it.
have to. No. And I mean, I know it's not probably a great cut for him because he's got so much money anyway. But the fact he did it on principle is pretty cool, I would say.
Right. So what you're saying is Nintendo going to go the way of Sega?
I don't think it possibly can. Nintendo, unlike say, because everybody says this about with Sony. Sometimes people think Sony might be teetering on the edge, but Sony makes so many different products that gaming, if they go under with gaming, they won't go under with anything else because they still have other businesses. But Nintendo, because they're so focused on gaming, I don't think they possibly can go under.
That's what Nintendo's got.
They're so focused on it, and they've got such a long history that they've got a really huge fan base. I mean, like I was saying before the podcast, we were discussing stuff with Nintendo. I think that even though I love them, they make silly choices sometimes. And I've seen fans argue to the point of ridiculousness against or for even these silly decisions. And I'm just like, how can you even argue that case?
So some examples?
A good example being what we were talking about with ROMs earlier.
Yeah.
That I don't think that Nintendo are now putting GBA ROMs onto the Wii U, and my perspective was they should have been on the 3DS to start with. The reason I sold my 3DS was because I couldn't get ROMs for it. I couldn't get specific GBA games, and even then they overcharge you for these games anyhow. They charge
something like £4 or £5
more than that sometimes for a game that's like a Game Boy Color game. I think Zelda for the Game Boy Color they were charging £8 or £9 for.
I don't think it was that much.
And
But
I
it
was
was
just
pretty
like,
expensive.
that's bad. But yeah, people were vehemently disagreeing with me and arguing the toss purely because they love Nintendo. And it's like, you know, if they've got fans like that, they're not going to go down because people are just going to buy their stuff purely because it's got their brand name on it.
The Virtual Console's good for a few select titles, but I wouldn't say go out and rebuy your entire library.
See, and
Yeah.
I mean,
The only thing I would say is you say you've got their fan base, that's final, but it doesn't matter if the fan base is too small. I mean,
but Nintendo's fan base is huge. I mean, they eclipse
Well,
even Sega's fan base.
Let me give you some figures.
Okay.
Okay. In 2012, the Wii U shipped 3.6 million units worldwide.
Yeah.
However, since launch of the Xbox One PS4, which was only October, November last year,
Yeah, I think it was November.
and sort of mid-January, they've sold a lot more than that.
One thing you got to remember though is that Nintendo have the monopoly on the handheld market, and the 3DS is doing
I will
very
say
well.
3DS is still selling very well, despite the fact that it's being encroached on by smartphones, which
Yeah.
I think eventually, if they're not careful, smartphones are going to push into that market.
Yeah. I'd argue the point there that phones have been doing this for a while now, and I think you're going to always have your gamer that likes to have a handheld console, and I think that is where Nintendo's going to get the bulk of their money from. The 3DS seems to be one of the most popular consoles at the moment, and I didn't even really like it that much. I got rid of mine, but they're doing very well for themselves.
The other thing is, a fair facts for this for you. They've revised their estimates down from 9 to 2.8 million units next year.
Right.
That's a third of what they thought, and they're predicting a 35 billion yen loss, which is something like 20 million pounds. That's not an insignificant
It's not.
figure. And I know you say, like with Sony as an example, so it's okay, it's not a brilliant example because you're right, their other industries are completely different industries.
Yeah.
If what you have is gaming, if your console flummoxes,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You
then
are.
you're going to get hurt. But
they've had an 80% drop in shares as well.
No. See, now what you're basing all this on is a very brief slump. By the end of the day, the stocks went up pretty much back to where they were. But no one reported it. No one. Because it was, seriously, Nintendo stocks tanking, that sells. That's what's going to bring in people to read your crap. Saying, hey, Nintendo stocks
and let's be
kind of
fair,
dropped and went back up. That's
when it
not
comes
cool.
to video games, there's even more crap than in most journalism. I mean, video gaming, the amount of clickbait that there is on the internet, my God.
Exactly, that's what it was. It was clickbait. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it tanked, and then by the end of the day, it was
Mentioning
back
no
up
names,
to where it was.
Kotaku, but you know.
But I don't think Nintendo are going to go anywhere. I mean, they haven't even released the heavy hit
I've
titles
not-
I've not said they're going to go away.
You think maybe they'll
will they
go
go?
Sega?
Yeah, will they go? Say, well, they'll just
Yeah,
make
the one
games.
thing everybody is arguing is they're going to go third party, but I'm not sure that they will. I mean, bear in mind, they're pissed up before. The GameCube didn't do anywhere near as well as they'd expected, and then they saved that with the Wii, which did exceptionally, which
The Wii was
surprised me.
the most
It was the
sold.
shock console of
That was the
its
winner
time.
of last generation.
It's
wasn't
crazy,
it?
isn't it, to think of?
So did you like the Wii? I'm presuming you're a Nintendo
I've got a
person.
Wii. I like
Yeah.
the Wii.
Okay.
I didn't mind
And you
the
bought the
Wii.
Wii U,
Yeah.
and
We own
yourself,
two
Fordy?
Wii U's.
Yeah,
Just,
see, I had a Wii, but I got rid of the. But then again, modern consoles, I'm like, yeah, I didn't like any of the last gen's consoles.
What's
really.
gone wrong then? What has gone wrong with the Wii U? Why is it just not took off?
Right, first off, Americans are stupid. I'm sorry, America, but if you think that the Wii U is just the gamepad and it's an accessory for the fucking Wii, you've got a problem, okay? It's a different console.
Again, I think that the problem there is the Wii, the first Wii, targeted families, and Nintendo did drop a bit, which upset quite a few hardcore gamers. They dropped their hardcore fan base to target families, and that was where the Wii was made to go. You still had your hardcore games,
Yep.
but they weren't as, say, prominent as the family-based games. So because of that, you got a lot of mums and dads and people that probably aren't even into gaming that are buying the Wii for their kid. they're looking at the Wii U. I think that's where most of that is coming from. It's coming from parents that aren't even into the... So, you know, in a way, it's kind of understandable, because if these parents don't really game themselves, they're not ready to know, are they? But I also think there's an issue with advertising. Yeah, there's not much of it going on at the moment, and Nintendo needs to pull their finger out with that.
The American advertising was absolutely horrible.
I mean, they are bigger in Japan. They'll always be bigger in Japan. And I think, again, going to where their losses and that'll be their saving grace. Their Japanese market is massive.
Their saving grace is going to be when they actually release the heavy hitter titles. They released a console a year in advance of everything else, and they barely had any of the big titles.
The fact that
so is that a marketing mistake on their part? Should they have had some titles ready to go on it?
Yeah, they should have had a hardcore Mario title rather than New Super Mario Bros. U. They should have had a Metroid game. They should have had an F-Zero game.
Considering the strength of their franchises and the fact that they've been able to get away with pushing them out for years, absolutely. It should have been a Zelda, a Metroid, a Mario, so on and so forth.
Because, I mean, look, seriously, I know people that bought Wii U's just to get hold of Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah.
Sold like you wouldn't fucking believe.
I have to admit, I went into that game with not great expectations, and I bloody loved it.
It's absolutely
really
brilliant.
Good fun.
Did I mention last time that the kids beat that now?
Yeah.
They beat it in a month.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
See, and I'm one of these people that's a fan of couch gaming, and I like sitting around on the couch with my mates and playing games, because I'm not so fond of playing online, and that game gave me the ability to do that again, and that I really enjoyed.
Nintendo do multiplayer right.
They do.
People are always going to complain,
they do complain about the online being shit, which is a fair argument.
There's no online multiplayer. Yes, there is. You're just not using it. Monster Hunter has online multiplayer. Call of Duty has online multiplayer, and a lot of these third-party developers, I hate to say, guys, they're taking it out.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's no online multiplayer base. If you take it out, how the fuck are they going to get one?
Yeah.
You can't build a multiplayer structure if you're going to keep on taking out the multiplayer component. You can't use that as an excuse. You have to try it, otherwise no one's going to use it.
I'm tempted to pick one up. I don't have one yet, but, I mean, playing that Mario game, that kind of made me think, okay. I'm Wonderful 101. I'm a big Kamiya fan, and I'm a big fan of like Henshin Heroes and comic books and stuff like that. And I played the demo of it, and I watched a couple of videos and things of it, and it looks bloody awesome. And
we've got Mario Kart coming out in May.
Right.
Bayonetta 2's coming out this year.
Again, another Kamiya title.
We've got Smash Brothers is coming out. When those games come out,
Smash Brothers will sell
that console
really
is going to
well.
ship like you wouldn't.
I mean, I'm
believe.
not a big Smash Bros fan myself, but it's a huge game. Lots of people enjoy it.
Should the Wii U be cheaper and sold without the gamepad? I don't think so. A lot of people say that it should be, but there are games that need it.
Yeah.
They're saying, but they could patch that out. They could, but it'll kind of ruin them.
I like the touchpad thing. I mean, I like touchpad controls when they're done right.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not done right more often than not, but the Vita has some fantastic touchpad controls, really, really good. And yeah, so does Wii U. I mean, to mention Wonderful 101, the touchpad controls on that are very good.
So on Wii U, I quite liked having the second screen, because to actually look at my inventory, I had to look at the screen, which would mean I was looking away from the telly. And by looking away from the telly, I wasn't looking at that zombie kind of bunch on my fucking face. So that kind of...
That's how you build tension, Square Enix.
Yeah,
sorry.
Negativity! It's a good system, just the marketing's horrible, and, just Americans are dumb.
I think you're right about the marketing, because I reckon if I went and spoke to average John on the street, I would say, have you heard of an Xbox One? They'd probably say, yeah, I've heard of Xbox, or yeah. Even they can't name who makes it, probably knows it. Have you heard of PlayStation? Yeah. Heard of the Wii U?
Didn't that come out last generation? That's what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah.
And
do you think the mistake they made was they launched too early? Do you think they'd have been better off waiting and either laying the first batch of the Xbox PS4, have its day, get itself out of the way, once the initial tidal wave is gone, then launch the Wii U, or will it launch it 2 or 3 months before?
I think they should have released it. All they needed to do was release an actual Mario game with it. That's it.
I mean, I personally would go one step further and say Zelda has surpassed Mario in popularity. At least over here, maybe not so much in Japan, I don't know. But over here, Zelda is massive. There are people who aren't even that into video games that love Zelda. It's actually been coined as being the girlfriend game, because a lot of guys who get with girls and stuff, I'm into gaming. The first game they'll come up with is, oh, I love Zelda. Zelda's a game that everybody knows and everybody loves. So
see, but that's the thing though. If they'd have said like a Zelda game over a Mario game, then I wouldn't have bought it.
No,
because I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love Zelda games, but the Wii was originally for my kids.
Yeah.
And my kids ain't going to play a Zelda game. They're going to play a Mario game.
I suppose perhaps the Zelda games are seen a bit more of a mature end of the game, whereas Mario is a very...
Do you reckon? I mean, when I was a kid, Zelda would have been what would throw me in. But then again, I mean, I've always been into fantasy and stuff, even from a very young age.
Graphically, Zelda is a... You got to think my kids are only 3 and 4 years old. So to see them running around with a sword, jabbing it into a skeleton, something that is actually visibly a skeleton or a wolf that's going to, maul you.
Yeah.
I would really rather they not play.
Yeah. I suppose then again, thinking of that, like Zelda was very different when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my kids have played Zelda on the NES.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily look like you're actually impaling someone in that game.
Ocarina of Time being a fairly dark game as well.
Yeah, or, drowning people in that. Because, I mean, when Link drowns, it's pretty kind of... It sounds really stupid, but it's kind of graphics. He kind of is clutching his throat and just doubles over. You're just
making me think of the overtly sexual Lara Croft drowning scene where she's all, oh, when she's drowning, and you're like... Okay, I'm sure she wouldn't be making that noise if she's drowning.
That's a bit extreme, but... I mean, the reason I got the Wii U was for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter 3.
See, I'm only a recent sort of player of Monster Hunter. I picked it up on PSP or PS Vita, the PSP version, because it was cheap recently. And I never played it, but my girlfriend loves Monster Hunter. It's a game she swears by. She's been telling me to play it for ages. And I played the one on the 3DS. I played the demo of it. Wasn't overly fond of it. And I got this new one, and I'm trying to like it. I'm not disliking it at the moment, actually. It's just, it's piqued my curiosity. I'm sort of going into it positively. And, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But it's looking quite cool so far.
No, I like Monster Hunter titles. That's definitely one I can't play.
And another thing is people who say, oh, you like Dark Souls, you probably like Monster Hunter, based on the combat being similar.
Can I also just say Ragnarok Odyssey is one I picked up recently, and that's quite... That reminds me a lot of Monster Hunter, but kind of a little bit more...
Because I had a demo for it, and I was it didn't really grab me.
It's not bad. You have to really play it to get into it. But I don't honestly think Nintendo's going to go anywhere. I really don't.
No,
I don't think they need to cut the cost of the console. I don't think they should get rid of the gamepad, because there's some really cool stuff on the gamepad.
Yeah, and actually their gamepad's damn comfortable, considering what it looks like.
Considering the size, it is a very, very comfortable control pad. Could it be better? Sure. Could it be much worse? Hell yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the features they have on it, they're not in all games, but some games are really made better with it. And the play off the telly thing is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I understand that a lot of people who don't have kids probably won't use that as much. Like, oh, it's my system, I already own it.
Nintendo's obviously going to be hated by a lot of people based on the fact that it is what they would call kiddie, and it's going to get knocked for that. There's going to be gamers that are like, oh, when you get PS3, like, you know.
No,
I do think that has a bit of an issue that it is viewed now as a kids game console, because particularly, I say, the way it marks the Wii.
With the Wii, yeah.
And
when people think Nintendo,
they do think adult titles on the Wii, though. When people
think Nintendo, they do think Mario. And Mario's a kid's character, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Truthfully. It was one time when they all were kid characters. You had Sonic with Sega. But what saved that is in fact that Sonic is Sega don't make consoles anymore. So Sonic is now just a brand they have on our consoles.
Which in fairness is Sega's own fault.
Yeah.
But that was a PR problem, not...
Oh, yes.
Not the quality of the games as such. And more the hardware and stupid things.
Sega still make bloody awesome games. There's still some good stuff coming from Sega.
Yeah. But when you guys were saying about the whole PlayStation 3, Xbox One, or PlayStation 4 thing, they've actually found that a lot of store clerks or whatever will actually try to convince people not to buy a Wii U. For no reason. None at all. Half of the shit doesn't even hold water. And they just end up, buy a fucking PlayStation 4. Buy an Xbox One. They are purposely pushing people away.
Yeah, I was reading something about this, actually, about there being people from Microsoft that were getting involved in this, and that there was a little bit of scheming going on their part to get consoles shifted. I can't remember exactly what it said.
Microsoft were paying YouTube partners to say good things about the Xbox One, but there were so many things wrong with the Xbox One.
When the Xbox One launched, my friend got one launch night, and I took the piss out of him all
I did
night.
I know a lot of people have cancelled PlayStation 4 orders to get
When I
Xbox
saw
Ones.
Killer Instinct in action, I laughed myself silly.
Yep. None of the... Right, okay. Looking at the library, I don't care what anyone fucking says. This is my opinion. I look at the PlayStation 4 library. I look at the Xbox One library. As it stands, and I know they've only been out for a few months, and the Wii U's had a hell of a head start. The strongest library, in my opinion, is the Wii U. And the library that will be strongest by the end
For
of
me,
this year
at the
will be
moment,
Wii U.
Wii U has Wonderful 101 that grabs my attention, but PS4 has the new Yakuza game, and that is really going to sucker me in because I love that series. Xbox has nothing. It'll probably always have nothing for me. It's not really targeted to my real demographic, but...
Yeah. I definitely think this one, in my opinion, again, I think this one's going to be between Nintendo and Sony. I really do wish that Microsoft would just bow out. Because they produce crap.
I think they do for consoles. I think Microsoft should have stuck to PC,
Yeah.
really. I mean, they still obviously do good stuff for PC, but console-wise, maybe not.
Shall we move on to Flashback? The only section that has a jingle.
We can really call it a jingle, but it's cool. You didn't say Thunder Tits.
Thunder Tits.
That's better. Thank you.
Flashback.
Wait, what are we... I've gone forgot. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I have to now be positive about saying Total Biscuit.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so last time we said Total Biscuit was had a character or avatar in a game. Pineapple Smash Crew was one of them. So basically, if you typed in your name as TB or Total Biscuit, the character would get a top hat and monocle.
Right.
It was gay.
Like Total Biscuit created Top Hat and Monocle.
No, but it's just based on his avatar.
Yeah, no.
The cynical
being
Brit.
facetious.
So fuck, I hate that guy. I mean, positivity, yay! I can't even... Shh, fuck you.
Like a shit Monopoly man.
And then I found Knights of the Round on the Super Nintendo, because you mentioned.
And that is one of my favourite games of all time.
And you recommend them that we play it on the arcade?
We should play it, yeah. I mean, it needs to be done. It's great. It's a good 3-player arcade game. So, yeah, all three of us could play that together. That'd be pretty good.
It's pretty hardcore. Dun, dun, dun. We're going to have to build an arcade cab now.
Go for it. Go on. I'll say some wood.
But yeah, I mean, Capcom Scroller beat 'em ups, big thing. I love them.
What was the other one that was
Arthurian Myth, I love. You put two of my favourite things together, there you go. Knights of the Round, fantastic.
There was another one like Knights of the Round, but I can't remember what
You've got the two Dungeons and Dragons games, Shadow of Mystara and Tower of Doom, which coincidentally George Kamitani worked on, and they were the basis for Dragon's Crown, my favourite game. So
Positivity.
Positivity.
There's quite a few. They did King of Dragons as well, which plays similar to Knights of the Round, and that's like sort of fantasy adventure fighting game. Are we speaking specifically a Capcom game here?
I have no idea. It was a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It had 5 characters, and I can't remember the name of it. Just reminded me a lot of.
What 5 characters were there?
Dude, I don't remember.
You're not
I can barely
helping me
remember my
much
own
here.
name.
There's so many scroll and beat 'em ups with lots of characters.
Especially in the 16-bit era, anyway.
Right. You're not talking about Knights of Valor, are you? The Dynasty Warriors-esque one, Romance of Three Kingdoms one.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you have.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll tell you in the next episode.
There's lots of cool scroll and beat 'em ups.
So we're going to have a flashback on the flashback.
Of course.
We are.
Perfect. Fair enough.
Explosion. And I think that was...
That's it. Flashback. That's handy.
Wow.
That's a quick flashback.
Right.
We're now on to my favourite section. Apologies for the rustling of paper. Weird news. I love this section. We've all had... I've never had anything personally stolen from me. Maybe some sort of dignity at some point in my life. Nearly £6,000 worth of Viagra has been stolen from military reserves since 2007, according to government figures. Military reserves.
That's what I thought I
First
heard
thing
you
that popped
say.
into my head is, here is my rifle, here is my gun, this is for fighting.
No, seriously, when you said that, I was like, did I just hear that right? I must be tired or something. Maybe I'm just...
Do you know what also has been stolen? Apart from the anti-impotence pills, 100 bayonets, 1,000 rounds of ammunition, a television, and a karaoke rig.
Somebody's going to have a good time.
A karaoke rig and an industrial washing machine. Presumably that's for the aftermath. I want to know who managed to steal an industrial washing machine. I mean, how
Hell of a fucking job.
Yeah. They were quick to point out that Viagra was used for conditions such as low blood pressure and altitude sickness. But so worrying, this is festive equipment from nuclear submarines. Right, so from nuclear submarines, it's Viagra. Well, I'm not wish to pass these aspersions and encourage any.
Watch what you say here, Jack.
any stereotypes onto our submariners.
This is my job to upset people, not yours.
That's what I'm going to let Luke deal with the next section. It was actually, they found the response was from a parliamentary question
Parliamentary
question from Conservative MP Nick de Boer. He asked what was going on.
Mainly because he wanted to get in on this action.
Great name.
Probably. The fest was significantly greater between 2009 and 2010, with £2.5 million of equipment going missing, while just only £816,000 worth of kit vanished between 2012 and 2013. So that's gone down. The figures were released following the case of a Sergeant Major Stephen Barrett, who was last week jailed for 20 months for trying to sell 115 grand worth of Army night vision kit on eBay.
Sweet.
That's great. I love when people do that. They still don't think they were going to get caught. I was going to do a bit of mocking of this next one, but after what happened tonight trying to get here for the podcast, I don't think I can really sort of mock it too much.
Oh, this is going to be funny. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
This is in America, Southwest Airlines flight from Chicago is under investigation after it landed at the wrong airport, 7 miles from its intended destination.
7 miles, considering how high up you are and how little an adjustment.
Yeah, but they do have guidance beacons to sort of point in the right direction.
Where was this again? Say it again.
America.
There you go. Thank you.
Flight 413, a Boeing 737-700 carrying 124 passengers and 5 crew, was scheduled to fly from Chicago Midway International Airport to Branson Airport, Missouri.
I'm supposed to be going there this year. That'll be fun.
Make sure the pilot's got a map. Make sure he's got his TomTom set up. They landed at Tiny Court County Airport instead on a runway that's only half the size. The runway is only 3,700 feet. The runway they were meant to go to is 7,140 feet. At the moment, it's unclear why the flight went to the wrong airport. Well, you missed. You went to the wrong airport. I
love that he missed. That's the best way to say it. He just missed. Right?
He needs to play more pilot wings.
It's unclear at the moment. Why don't you just go and ask the pilot? How the hell did you end up at the wrong airport?
Yeah, well...
You've got a map. You've got to go. How did you manage it? They have launched an investigation. It was apparently one of the passengers says as soon as they touched down, the pilot applied the brake very hard, very forcibly, probably indicating he knew he was going wrong. Before the flight attendant announcement, "Welcome to Branson," a few minutes later, the pilot said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to tell you this. We've landed at the wrong airport."
Oh, seriously, I would love to have seen the look on that pilot's face when he realised the runway was so short.
Like, oh. Shit. What if I can take off and they won't notice? Well, this is what I find, okay? The company sent planes and stuff to pick them up. They're in a bloody plane. Fly there.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so the plane itself is able to take off again. But believe it or not, this is the second time in 2 months this has happened.
What, same airline or?
No, different. It's a different airline. A Boeing 747 Dreamliner, which is supposed to deliver parts to McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita, Kansas, landed 9 miles north at Colonel James Jabara Airport. Second time in 9 months. I mean,
Well, in fairness, at least you didn't say, well, they ended up taking a dive in the sea and yet they were supposed to be flying inland.
What I want is the pilot. What I'd like to have been found more interesting is just like, say, when the pilot said, "Do you know what? I'm going to Branson. I don't know what Branson's like. Let's assume Branson's a horrible place. I don't really want to go there. This place is a bit nice. I'll go there instead and just blame on error." Have you ever had something sent to you by accident? Or maybe you've sent something and got to the wrong place by accident? You? No?
Yeah,
experience that? Yeah, okay. Feel bad for these people, best example, these drug barons.
Wow.
Police have recovered 140 kilos of cocaine, which had been shipped in a banana crate by accident to an Aldi store in Germany.
Bloody hell.
Works at, 5 Aldi stores. Works at 5 stores around Berlin. Found the drugs among packages of.
That's where that Viagra's going to turn up eventually.
Yeah. Right. It's been called a logistical mistake by smugglers. I want to know why have the smugglers got a spokesperson? Well, it has been. I just feel like it's like when I found out once Taliban had a spokesperson.
Could you imagine calling up the PR company on that one?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we fucked up.
I just thought they've got a PR. Yeah, it's basically a PR company. Hello, smugglers. I love it.
It's like, hey guys, have you got their names? You are the PR company for these guys, right? I can't say a thing.
Yeah. Hi, I want to do an interview with your head kingpin. Would you mind awfully if I just have his address and his details when he's in the country next, please? Yeah, sure. I'll book you in next Tuesday.
You bastards.
Yeah.
Somewhat almost reminds me of that pirate that you said. They said they were going to do a documentary on his life.
Yes.
And off he went. And he got busted for
Brazil. Was it Brazil? No, it was no country beginning with B. Belgium.
For a second, I swear you were either going to say the Bermuda Triangle or Burma. I was like, fuck,
Bit of a jump.
No, Belgium. No, this is from episode 4. And he was told he'd previously held up a Belgian fishing vessel and held at ransom, sold about the crew back from ransom to Belgium. A few years later, a Belgian film company, I did put air quotes up there, everyone couldn't guess,
if you couldn't see that.
Film company asked him to go and do a film on his life, so I invited him to Belgium. So he flew over there, and as he got off the plane, the police arrested him.
Winning.
I mean...
Fucking idiot. Holy hell. I'm thick, but Jesus Christ. Some of these people are just... man.
Police address worth $5 million come from Colombia. At the German port of Hamburg, where loaned trucks and sent to Berlin. He said apparently this is the biggest drug find in the last 20 years.
So, wouldn't it be funny if it had something to do with that dodgy pilot?
Yeah. This is why he landed at the wrong airport.
They're all connected. He also robbed the military.
He robbed a military base and then tried to sell it all on eBay.
Yeah. Well,
washing machine filled with Viagra.
Hardly used.
Hardly used Viagra. Hardly used washing machine.
Bit of both. He stole £7 million worth. He's not going to be able to use ball of it, is he?
You'd be surprised.
If it was a Viagra, it'd be semi-used.
Boom, boom. Now, you remember, I'm going to cast your mind back to episode 2.
Fuck no, that was ages ago.
Do you remember?
That was way past my memory.
Episode 2. Way back, we discussed about how Britain was under siege from speedy snails.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. So they discovered snails can move up to 1 metre an hour.
Yeah, terrifyingly fast. We are all doomed. Didn't it have something to do with dogs?
Yes, something to do with dogs, yeah. Yeah. They've called in reinforcements.
Holy hell, we've finally called in the Americans.
No, because snails have.
Oh, shh.
There is a ghost ship, supposedly crewed by hundreds of cannibal rats, heading to British shores.
I heard about this.
Experts fear. The Lyubov Oliver cruise ship, named after a Russian actress, has been adrift in Norfolk Island for the past 12 months. Coast Guards now believe the floating derelict, cut loose near Canada in 2013, could be driven thousands of miles towards Britain following the recent storms. This is according to The Sun, to be fair.
Okay. Was there a big picture of tits next to it?
I don't know if I've only got the text version.
Oh, damn it, man.
Cannibal rats, bears all.
Yeah. ASCII tits will be on there next. Right. Researcher Belden Prim de Riode said she's floating around there somewhere. Thank you for that useful bit of information.
Wow.
There'll be lots of rats and they eat each other.
Okay.
If I get aboard, I'll have to taste everywhere poison. That just sounds like the start of a really good film. One man goes aboard a cannibal rat ship.
And next they're going to say nuke it from space.
Snakes on a plane, rats on a ship. There you go.
There you go, that's the follow-up. Someone was setting it up.
It was being towed to the minimum public to be scrapped last year, and the tow line off to a broken rough seas. The Canadian government then sent an oil ship to drag out to sea and release it. I love the Canadian version. It's like, just sort of push it that way and not worry about it.
It's too close to home. Get it the fuck out.
I like to think of these rats actually becoming pirates, pirate rats on the oceans.
Oh my
God.
An Irish Coast Guard has said it was spotted 1,300 nautical miles off the island last year. So it's getting closer.
It's taking its fucking time.
It says, as there have been huge storms in recent months, but it takes a lot to sink a vessel that big, he says. We must stay vigilant. So I think the snails are calling the rats in as reinforcements.
That makes sense. Although, it takes a lot to sink something like this. Seriously? No, it doesn't. Put a human in charge of it for more than 15 minutes. The chances of it sinking are
I believe there's a captain in Spain at the moment he's open for offers. His recent vessel was the Costa del Sol, was it? I'm sure he'd come and give you a hand. Or, I don't know, we've got loads of submarines. We know they're short Viagra, so you need something to sort of keep their minds occupied. I'm sure they could go out there, they're probably quite happy to blow something up. Just torpedo it. I'm sure somebody could do it.
Yeah, but that'd cost money. And seriously,
do you know what?
Cannibal rats, that's hilarious.
As a comic book fan, all I've ever heard is people give Aquaman shit. He's actually quite useful now.
Yeah, right now we can deal with him.
Right now, for once in his life, Aquaman...
He's finally got a mission.
But it'll be alright until he actually gets on the boat.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, I picked this story because it's a good combination, because it combines your love of cameras and my love of animals and pigs and sheep and livestock.
So basically, if someone's recording some kind of dodgy snuff film...
No.
Oh, so no one's throwing anyone to the pigs. Okay.
Animal Farm Part 2.
No. Okay. This has actually been viral on YouTube, so you might have seen this. A GoPro, which I believe is a camera company you buy... Yeah, we've got some GoPro stuff here. A camera has survived a fall into a pig pen. Have you seen this on YouTube? A farmer in US found a muck. They actually said in the newspaper mud covered. Trust me, if it's in a pig pen, it'll be muck covered. They don't have mud in pig pens. It's all shit. I've moved enough of it to know it's all shit. Covered GoPro camera in a pig pen, and when viewing the footage, saw a skydive gone wrong.
Oops.
Camera survived to fall hundreds of feet from a skydiving plane landing in the pig pen. Footage then shows the camera inside the plane before falling out, taking about 40 seconds to hit the ground, whereupon pigs come over and proceed to try and eat it. Because pigs do that, they do try and eat anything that falls in their pen. So you get some nice footage of the inside of the pig's mouth. It then lay there 8 months before being discovered by a farmer, Mia Munsell.
Marvellous.
So, it turns out GoPros are quite good cameras.
Yeah, they survive pigs and great drops. I have seen quite a few videos of GoPros falling from skydivers and planes and stuff like that. Crazy. What surprised me is how many of these actually get found. And the ones that get lost at sea.
Found by rats.
Yeah. That's probably a couple of GoPros on the boat.
There's a GoPro out there, or like a single still GoPro.
This is rats taking drunk pictures of themselves. Rat selfies.
Yeah. Sort of drunken nights, sort of
rat pirate selfie.
Yeah, jumping all these rats sort of lined up, sort of fancy dress.
Shit, that's where all the Viagra's going, man.
The rats have pinched it.
The rat parties. Damn.
That's what always...
Well, they're just taking shitloads of Viagra and going for rides in the washing machine.
Wow. This is a wheel. They turn on the side and there's a big wheel.
They probably somehow managed to rig it up with the hand of the Navy to power
the case.
stuff.
We've
sorted it. You heard it here first.
Fuck Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine. We know where it's at.
Now, Luke, earlier today you mentioned that you're looking at getting yourself a house, property. I believe I might have found somewhere for you.
Can I just quickly say the amount of times we have mentioned houses with drug dens that I could have got, and I've just going to complain that I can't afford a camera but I want to buy a house.
Yeah. Well, I found this property. You'll like it. It's a nice and quiet area.
Yes.
It's well insulated, so you're not going to sound insulated as well, so it won't be too much noise.
Is there a free drug club with this one as well?
No, there's no drug club. And also, you'll be safe in front of a nuclear holocaust.
The hell kind of bunker are you trying to sell me?
A nuclear bunker.
Sweet.
A secret underground emergency bunker built to protect central services in the event of a nuclear war is being auctioned off by the water and sewage company Southwest Water.
It's not very secret anymore.
I was going to say, no secret bunker that everyone now knows about.
Well, no, you can actually go and view it on the estate agent's website. It's in Cosrath, New Quay. It was constructed in 1978 during the Cold War. It was to allow experts... They actually put experts, not just anybody, experts, at Southwest Water Authority to maintain water and sewage operations in the event of a nuclear holocaust. Now, isn't me, but if there's a nuclear holocaust, would you really be saying, well, it's okay, guys, we've got no food, electricity, water, we've got no food, electricity, but we can flush the toilets?
GG.
Now, what I know is it's designed to have 16 people running it. Who are these 16 people who've said to themselves, I could be at home with my family comforting them, or I could go work for West Water, keeping pumping poo for the next 18 months.
Do you know how in Fallout, all the little places, the Fallout shelters all have their own little thing going on?
Yeah,
clearly, that's what this one was.
Yeah, it was. 16 people, 7 operations, 6 in the communications room, communicating with who?
The dead.
Yeah, and 3 in the control room. That must be their call centre. I've got a complaint about my water supply. Yep, we'll pass it on for you. Guide
At least
price.
you know the call centre's in the UK.
Yeah, guide price of £50,000.
That's not bad.
That's right. Other features include several blast-proof doors,
Sweet.
an airlock, decontamination room, a dining room, recreation room, and 2 dormitories.
Can I just say that probably after this podcast, we are going to need a bunker of some kind to keep people away from murdering us.
That's all right.
We haven't died yet.
And a decontamination room for when the rats arrive.
Yeah. Or a decontamination room to filter out all of the stupid.
That'll be us in there, then. Brian Blake, who worked for the authority, said, I remember the government said we had to provide underground control centre in case of an emergency which was bomb and nuclear proof. It wasn't fully kitted out, which is just slight. There's no furniture in there. But I'm so happy you could have lived in there for weeks. I mean, come on, guys. You can at least put some beds in. No furniture in there.
So saying, yeah, they wanted it to be, bomb-proof and all this kind of shit. They wanted it to be ready for the second that shit dropped. So we didn't finish it.
Yeah. Right. The company property manager, Chris Shepland, added, we regularly auction redundant assets to reduce our costs and keep customers' bills as low as possible. This is the first time we've offered a genuine piece of Cold War history. I love when you get the spokespeople who come up and say things like, yeah, we did it to keep our customers' bills low. It's all for the customers, not to give us more money.
Like the PR guy for the drug pushers.
Yeah.
Same company.
Yeah.
Same PR guy.
They've just started a new contract with some rats on a boat. Yeah.
They were getting Viagra from the Navy.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Cannibal Viagra rats.
All but.
And that is a movie waiting to happen.
I reckon that landing was probably some dodgy practice flight to try and get the Viagra to the rats.
Could be. Airdrop. I reckon you're right there.
Then the nukes go off. And then we all suffer because no one can get to the bombshell. That's where the rats are trying to go. They just haven't quite got the hang of using the own controls
Well,
yet.
the point is for Seven to steer. I think this could be an excellent sequel to Ratatouille.
You are aware that by the time they get here, they've probably, I don't know, we'll all be long dead, we'll all been nuked. They'll still be alive, they
And
will
they'll be
take
walking
over.
on the hind legs.
Yeah, they'll be like,
They'll get here and I think, oh, bugger, we're going to invade this place and they're already dead. They've done it for us.
well, that bombshell look alright.
Yeah, we can have some fun here.
No furniture.
Actually, I think Richard Dawkins suggested, although I'm not a fan of him, he did suggest that a good chance of survival if for another life form to evolve into a higher life form like we evolved. Rats are a good bet. He reckons that rats are a good bet for evolving because of the way they are, the way they breed, the way he could see them. Obviously, they have a long way to go, but he could see them evolving to a state where they could be our replacement.
Marvellous. So basically, we are rats.
Skaven.
Skaven, yes. The ship is Skaven.
They will become Skaven by the time they get here. They'll have evolved within the Skaven.
Quick. Neek.
Rock on, gutter runners. Sorry, I'm calling for Blood Bowl now.
So go was an all Skaven had them as well. You can't meet Clan Pestilence though, they're plague furnaces. And they gas themselves. I was like Clan Sky and they had their little rattling machine gun.
I was always a fan of Eshin, personally.
Yeah.
And so now we somehow managed to go back to tabletop gaming.
We do need to have a tabletop section.
Yes.
Games we're looking forward to, tabletop gaming.
Is this
Yeah,
going to be the
absolutely.
post-show?
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I've always been... D&D has always been my game. I was always into pen and paper gaming and tabletop gaming. But recently I got a gift for Christmas, which was a Discworld board game. And I really rather quite liked it. But I was watching reviews and stuff of it. And I started seeing reviews for other games. So I haven't played tabletop games in a while. So I started to find really good recent tabletop games. The one I picked up was Shadows over Camelot. which is an 8-player cooperative game. So effectively, you're playing against the game itself. And how you do that is your first move each turn is you play the enemy. So you have to do what they call the progression of evil. And you can pick one of 3 things to do, which will be of detriment to you, and that's like evil's move. And then you then get your move, which is where you do something good as one of your knights, because you've got 8 knights. I think the expansion gives 9. So you're playing cooperatively, but the trick is, at the beginning of the game, you're given loyalty cards. Each player gets one, and they're not allowed to show them off. You just get dealt one randomly, and you look, and one of the loyalty cards is a traitor. So one of you effectively is using the progression of evil to try and prevent the other players from winning, because the way to win as the traitor is obviously for everybody else to lose. It's a fantastic game, very good. And there's not many games that allow for that many players. Most games are generally 5 to 6 players, or between 3 and 6. So to have a game that gives you 8 or 9 players, very good. And it's relatively quick as well, providing you're playing it, because we did a few test runs of it, and it took a while to get the rules down. But once we got it down, you can get a game done in about an hour and a half, something like that.
Sounds quite cool.
It's very good.
Makes me think of the Battlestar Galactica board game.
All right.
Because that's got a very similar mechanic. Because I don't know if any of you watched the new series
I haven't seen it.
One of the key sort of plot points is that there are Cylons that can look human. And it's about, they don't know initially, they know there's some Cylons in their midst, not in their mints, because that'd be cannibalism, in their midst, which look like humans, and they might not even know they're Cylons. They might be sleeper agents. So it's about how they have to go about knowing there could be a traitor amongst them, and they have it's all this paranoia about who's a traitor.
Yeah.
Well, Battlestar Galactica has similar mechanic. You're given loyalty cards, and you look at them, and you might be a Cylon.
Yeah.
But what's quite clever about it is that you get given loyalty cards twice. So the deck is stacked, so there's at least one Cylon in every game. But you get one set of loyalty, you get basically 2 sets. So there's 4 players, like 8 cards in the set. So you each get a card each. So it's possible the first set of the game, I'm human or human.
Yeah, it's the same with Shadows of Camelot, yeah.
So you also think, that's great, yeah, okay, you play cooperatively. The next set of cards, and at that point, one of you is going to be revealed as a silent sleeper agent. So now you've got to then change your gameplay from being, okay, that was human, now I've got to keep saying that I'm human, but at the same time sabotage the efforts.
Yeah.
That's quite clever.
That is nice, yeah, that's cool.
That takes a bit longer. You could probably, if you got a group of people who knew the rules inside out, because it's quite a complicated
it's
game.
The same with this one. Yeah. You have to know the rules really well to sort of get through it quicker.
You get it down, because the first game we played at home for family took us nearly 4 hours, and we only got halfway through. But I know from reading online, you can get down to about 2.5 hours.
Yeah. One of the other games we picked up, a friend of mine picked this one up, so we've all been buying them, was a game called King of Tokyo. That's a very, very, very popular game. It's won quite a few awards. That game can be completed within 30 minutes. But it's a fantastic game. It's all dice-based. You've got a spoof of characters like King Kong and Godzilla and all these giant monsters, and you're all fighting to take control of Tokyo. And yeah, you can do that relatively quickly. It's a fun little game.
Sounds good.
Might be worth sort of...
So I would actually like to go back to the old, the college days when we were rolling for D&D characters. Because I want to play through Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah.
So, just want to try that at some point.
Yeah. I do love D&D, yeah, good old bit of pen and paper gaming.
I've never actually properly played a game.
No, never?
Never.
The trouble I always had was getting enough people who were actually invested enough in it to play it.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get, because you need at least sort of 5 people, really.
Yeah,
one Dungeon Master and 4 players.
Week.
And that is really hard when you have got a small friends base, because most people I know wouldn't be interested in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to get.
Well, we'll have to introduce you guys to some of my friends. So I've got quite a big group of friends that are into all this kind of stuff, so we can have quite big game nights. I mean, and I was quite lucky to have grown up around people like that too, because I used to have some very good Dungeons and Dragons games. We had a guy who's about 3 years older than us that used to play, and he was the best DM I've ever had. Very, very good. Knew the game inside out. Very good storyteller, so the games would be thematically fun as well as just through sort of the mechanics of the game itself. Yeah, we'll have to play a game.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Do you know if they still sell the Thud game?
I think they do.
I have to pick that up at some point. Trying to throw that out there. Discworld book.
Yeah.
I know.
Game within a game, or game within the story, isn't it? They play Thud in the actual
That's actually
story.
based on a. I think it's actually based on a Viking game.
Oh, it's interesting.
I believe it's actually based on. I think it's slightly altered, but I think it's actually based on an old Viking game.
It's based on a Viking game. Raping, pillaging, burning.
But yeah, I picked up what are the ones I've got. I've just got Lords of Waterdeep. Quite a funny story is I did order it ages ago, and I got the expansion at the same time. But I got the expansion through Amazon because they didn't have the original game. But this other shop I found had a copy. Turns out they didn't have it either. They'd lost it. So for the last few weeks, everywhere has not got it. I'm quite surprised 'cause it's a popular game. Nowhere has it.
Could it just be that they're selling out faster than they can?
They're getting them in, maybe. I mean, but I managed to track one down to some place in Oxford, and they seemed like a nice place, independent store. No way of buying online, so I contacted them through phone. A little bit eccentric, but that's what I like. So it gets good, this cool little eccentric game store, and pick this game up. That'll be another good one worth playing, though. I mean, D&D, you must be familiar with Waterdeep. No? Never played Neverwinter?
I have, but I don't. You got to think this is. Last time I played Neverwinter was so long ago.
Well, Waterdeep is the city that one of the cities in. No, it's not in Neverwinter. It's in one of the other games. I don't know if it's one of the Baldur's Gates actually, but
I've heard of the name.
Waterdeep is a big city in because Neverwinter is obviously one of the big cities. Baldur's Gate is one of the big cities. Waterdeep is another big city within the Forgotten Realms universe, and there's lots of political intrigue in Waterdeep. So this game, although it's set in the D&D world, isn't a D&D game. It's more political intrigue based game. You're sending minions on missions basically and trying to take control of the city. It's a pretty cool little game.
So that's the kind of game I quite like the idea of. It's not about. Just generic. Well, it's generic sort of board combat game. It is about sort of politics and.
I prefer games that are a bit different. I must admit, I don't like stuff that is just.
I want to get a copy of There's a game I want to get a copy of called a really old game called Diplomacy.
All right.
And what's different about it is that all players take their turns at the same time.
Okay.
So you start off, it's set. I think it's set about 1890 or sort of turn of the century, and you will take one of a different country. And every turn, you have to write down your moves, what you're going to do. But then you can talk to our players. You can form alliances, pledge them. Because you write what you're going to do down and then reveal it all simultaneously, you can really screw somebody over.
That's pretty cool.
Honestly, I could get a copy of that up.
Yeah, it might be worth a game. I'll definitely be down with that.
It sounds like the sort of game that broke all your friends up.
Yeah.
Have we thought of any trading card games at all? Or are we just going to kind of brush over that?
Yeah, maybe, because there's the ones that you can get that are good are Summoner Wars and Mage Wars, because you get practically everything you need in the box. Mm-hmm. So you can get expansions, obviously, for Summoner Wars, but we're not talking Magic the Gathering, having to build whole new decks and buy all sorts of different cards, maybe on their own. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything is there, so that might be worth playing. Magic takes a bit, or games like Magic take a little bit more out of your wallet and out of your time, because
my sort of opinion of like Magic. Now, I've never played it, so what I've done is what I know through hearsay. But when you buy cards and stuff, is it like you buy a pack of cards but you don't actually know what you're going to get, or do you actually buy specific cards?
You can buy like little booster decks where you don't know what you're going to get, but you do know to the degree, because it'll be set. The thing with Magic is it's broken into sections like this, which is where the money making comes in. Because if you're a sort of person that goes to a shop and plays it, or wants to play again semi-professionally, so to speak, you have to play with current cards within a current game, because the games are divided into different things. So, like you can play games with all the cards if you want, but you might say there's a set called Innistrad, which is all werewolves, vampires, traditional monsters, that kind of thing. And if you were playing an Innistrad deck, you might want to just play within Innistrad. But then again, you're quite open to take the cards out and put them into mix them with other decks to make a full deck. But yeah, it depends how you want to play it.
Because I have played the sort of games where I'm quite a big Warhammer player.
Yeah,
I've played sort of games where you pick up, you have to buy units and expand your armies. The thing about Warhammer is, when you buy a unit, you know exactly what you're getting. You're not going to have a situation where you buy a booster pack in the case and you end up with half a dozen cards that you've already got.
You don't have to do that. I mean, you can buy. Well, one of the beauties of it is that there's a big online community and you can buy cards separately. So you can buy, if you want a specific card, you can get that card on its own. But you also get what are called starter decks for each of the main games. So, like, say for Innistrad or for Ravnica or any of the other games, you can get the starter decks. You know what cards are in there, and there's some quite good cards in some of them. You can just buy them and mix them together and build a deck if you really wanted to. But unlike Warhammer, whereas with Warhammer, you've got a specific build. An army is set a certain way, isn't it? You have to have. Well, you don't have to have everything, but you have to build your army a specific way. So it requires certain units to build an army.
It's a lot more loose than it used to be.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
but everything that you're buying for your army is within a certain subset, like Skaven. You buy your Skaven.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more. Actually, it's a lot more open than it used to be.
All right.
Nowadays, you still have point restrictions. So your army is split into 4 categories. You've got heroes and lords, core, special, and rare.
Right.
You have to have at least 25% of your points limit has to be on core. So for 2,000 point game, 500 points have to be on core. Up to 50% on special.
Right.
So you'll have 1,000 points on special. Up to 25% on rare. And up to 25% on heroes and lords.
Right.
So you have got quite a bit. As long as once you've got your minimum core, and you have to at least one character to be a general.
Yeah.
Other than that, you've got quite a bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
Because 25% in a 1,000 points special is quite a lot.
But obviously, the flexibility is going to exist within your army. So it'll be like.
Oh, you can have allies.
Okay.
You can have allies armies if you wish to, and that's actually quite a big thing in the new 40k edition. You can now have quite big allies armies.
That's interesting.
And there's special rule sets, and there are some issues like certain armies will not ally with each other.
Yeah, clearly.
Space Marines will not ally with Chaos Space Marines. Under no sense will they ever deem to ally, and Tyranids won't ally with anybody because they're Tyranids.
Space Marines can to some degree ally with Orcs because they're Orc mercenaries, aren't they?
Yeah, and they'll ally. There's like different degrees of allies. So they'll ally well with other Space Marines. So it's like Sisters in Battle they'll ally well with, which are although they're not Space Marines, they'll ally well with them. And they get like bonuses. So the sisters can use like you can like use your skills in their units.
Yeah.
Someone like they can ally with Imperial Guard, but you're restricted to what you can do.
Yeah.
And some they will ally with, but want to keep it fairly remote, as it were.
Yeah.
So they'll ally with Xenos only as a
I suppose
alliance.
even then there'd be certain alliances that might be better than others, like say maybe with Eldar slightly more than they would say Orcs or someone.
Let's take Tau as an example.
Right.
Tau work very well with Space Marines because Space Marines are great at close combat, which Tau severely lack.
Yeah.
Even their best close combat troop is not really much better than the Guardsmen.
I suppose on the basis that Tau are semi-diplomatic as in a comparison.
They're a shooty army.
We're talking sort of fluff-wise here.
They are designed to match it. They don't like close combat. They're designed to stand. Their army is very much a case of you must, if you've got army at Tau and gets into close combat, you've pretty much had it.
I was trying to come at it from more
political.
Yeah, like so that they'd be more likely, say, to work with Space Marines on the fact that there's going to be a mutual understanding that there might not be with other alien races, for example.
I'm doing some memory, I believe the Tau into all the levels of alliances actually have a better alliance level than the Imperial Guard do.
Yeah.
Because they do just go on with everybody.
Yeah, because although I don't play Warhammer, I used to play Mordheim, as I was saying to you before the podcast. I don't play Warhammer. I did get very extensively into the lore, and I did read about the Tau and the recruiting of humans, and that they have human planets and stuff that are integrated into their system, which is pretty cool. They got a whole...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But your magic isn't like that in the sense that where you're restricted to your armies and then your allies, say, with magic you can stick anything in the deck. Your deck is restricted by your colours. Like, you can have, I would say, you can have as many colours as you like, but I'd say a maximum of 3 would be good for a deck. You don't want to go above 3. 2 would be the sweet spot if you've got 2 colours. And there's 5 colours. You've got red, green, white, black and blue. And they all represent different things. Blue are obviously like, they like your mage colours, so they're obviously more political, methodical. They're going to pull things out of the bag that other colours might not. A fine example being red, which is a very offensive colour. It's all about attacking.
I always
doing
find it
damage.
offensive when red looks at me.
Yeah, well, you see, in that sense, red syncs up well with green, which is also about big creatures, making big creatures even stronger and attacking. So you stick those two together, you've got beasts and very feral, angry creatures. Yeah, it's all it all works quite well. It is a good game. It's just the fact that it's clearly a very big money-making scheme of a game. So, yeah. Whereas you're buying a board game, you're getting everything there, and you can play again and again.
You might get expansion packs,
Yeah.
but it's there to go.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Right, I think we better wrap up.
Okay.
Okay, so you can find us on the website at www.randnerds.com. You can email us at randnerds@gmail.co.uk. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/randnerds. You can follow us on Twitter @withrandnerds. You can follow us on Google Plus @randnerd and at Facebook @randnerds. If you've not lost all track of that, which is all on the website, that's the easiest place to find us. I've been Nicholas Jackson.
I'm Luke Roberts.
I've sort of been Adam Thorne, I don't know, but
Doesn't put his
as
name
best
to
I
the podcast.
can.
We're trying with this new positive
Positive podcasting.
and failing. No, I mean succeeding greatly.
Succeeding. Positive podcasting. Thank you very much for listening. See you next time.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.